How Bizarre is intended for mature, open-minded audiences only. If you are easily offended, we suggest you turn this wacky shit straight off.
I am intrigued. I would like to try the sweet meat treat though that he sold so bravely. I wouldn't mind putting a little kielbasa and candy corn in my mouth. Whatever. I might just do it tonight.
Yeah, anyone that's just
Make my
tuning in
own.
and didn't listen to the last episode, you should. It was a great episode. But we talked about, I think Christopher brought it as Weird Triv. He spoilers if you haven't heard it, but it was just a typical, was it a bratwurst? It was some sort of bratwurst with candy corn in it.
Yeah, it was a butcher in I think Wisconsin that was offering a limited time specialty bratwurst with infused with candy corn, and you literally saw the uncooked bratwurst with just giant candy corns throughout it.
Mm-hmm.
I imagine like when it cooks up, it's a melty sweet. You know, who knows?
That's how John Mark described it, and when he did that, I was like, he's not selling me on the idea of candy corn in my meat, but I would try it, and I bet it is. I bet it does sort of melt into little caramely, vanilla-y syrup. You know, like I use the analogy pancake syrup and sausage. When you get a little syrup, a little scissorp on your
Scissorp. Don't say scissorp.
Even some of the sausage is cured in maple syrup, so those flavors are probably not terribly dissimilar. But the thought of cold raw candy corn in cold raw sausage is almost too much for one of God's children to bear. I mean, it just
sounds like punishment more than anything.
Yeah, it seemed just the vision of it, like it's vomit. Have you guys seen these vomit clocks that everyone's going crazy over? So I follow a lot of, look up vomit clock real quick.
It's not.
I should probably look it up too. It's not real vomit, but you'll see exactly why they call them that. I'll look it up. I'll do a Google of it too, make sure it comes.
Whoops, I forgot an L.
Yeah, plenty of vomit cock videos in your history. Mm-hmm.
Oh no, this is like baked beans. What is happening? This isn't good.
It's gems. It's like a bunch of different rocks and gems for the most part. But you can see people are getting, some of these are definitely beans. So yeah, people are getting jiggy with it. But the way they started was people were trying to make something elegant. And it's just all these different kinds of rocks and crystals that are then, I guess, encased in resin in molds. And they're like typical fancy like desk clock shapes, like Victorian carving shapes.
They're more of something pretty to look at, but they've been just mushed together like somebody puked it out. I get it. But.
Somebody had a good idea. It was a good thought. Like, what if instead of, just dyeing the glass or carving something out of wood, what if we did a resin mold of rocks, pink rocks, yellow rocks, greenish rocks, and then we, on a clear cast, and then we make clocks out of them. Yeah, you got to look these up. Maybe I'll just make this the graphic for this week. But they literally look like somebody sculpted vomit, froze it in time, and made a clock out of it. They are very, very collectible right now because of these groups, these Facebook groups like I follow, like weird secondhand store finds or, mid-century clocks. I follow a lot of weird kooky shit like that. I love when people find like some love/hate when people find like some amazing, like one of those egg chairs from 2001 Space or Clockwork Orange. And they just find it, like a legitimate one from the 60s. They just find it for like $30 in some Midwestern Goodwill. It torments me, but it's also exciting to know that still happens. Like they just didn't know what they had.
I mean, I had to go from images to shopping on my Google tab here just to see about what a vomit clock might run me, Ronster. If you had to guess, average retail price of a vomit clock, and this is mostly Etsy, eBay, so keep that in mind.
Like a collectible numbers, I would guess maybe 200, 250.
I thought it'd be worth more as well, but the highest one I saw was 115, and I'm seeing them for about $30. So, Ronster, Christmas is coming.
Okay, well, this is the thing. It's probably one of those, like many things, One of those things that we like, a lot like some of my art, actually. I'll elaborate in a minute, but something that you see and you can appreciate it for what it is, and appreciate it why everyone else is appreciating it. But it's one thing to sort of be into that and laugh at it and enjoy it. Whole other can of wax, whole other can of pork and beans to actually shill out a few $100 or even $20 and take that thing home with you. And that's what I've learned with
where do you put it?
With
where
my
do you put
art. I make some kooky art. Like today, I just posted a ray gun composed or comprised of a bunch of Spam cans, and I call it the Spamo Blamo. And it's doing okay. It hasn't sold yet. Most of my paintings that I post these days, they sell pretty quickly. This one hasn't sold, but it's one of those things that even if it did get a big, reaction on Facebook, it doesn't mean somebody wants it. And I hear people saying all the time, I've been doing a lot of McDonald's paintings for some reason. Like I did a McDonald's ray gun and spaceship and just random weird McDonald's shit. A McDonald's drag queen. I did Mayor McCheese in drag. And it's sitting right here to the left of me, even though that has probably more likes than just about any painting I've done in the last 3 months. But again, it's one thing to look at a painting and admire it. I am proud of the painting because I think it's one. I took time with it. It really looks like Mayor McCheese in drag. It's a good painting, but you really gotta want Mayor McCheese in drag on your fucking wall. And
I want to say something, but I don't want to sound like it's like a backhanded compliment, Ronster, but I can always tell when the Ronster's hungry because he starts churning out art. Like you know what I mean? Like, because you'll sell it. You know you can sell your art, and it may not be your primary, goal is just to fucking churn out art. But I can always tell when you've done your passion projects that didn't make you a whole lot of money, and now it's time to fucking pay the mortgage.
It's time to make a quick 400.
Again, I didn't want to sound like a backhanded compliment, but I can always tell when it's crunch time for Ronster.
Oh, I'm sure everyone can. Well, maybe not as well. I mean, you know me better, but I'm sure people do notice the difference. And that's exactly where I'm at. I needed to make a quick few $100 this time around, and holy Nikes, I've been working my ass off and like a legitimate job, but I didn't get paid until the end of October. So all of October, I spent all my money on the Halloween burlesque show, which I want to talk about in just a minute too. I mean, not a lot of money went into this show, but we had to rent the room. I had to build some props, and we had to get some things done. But more importantly, it took all my time. So I didn't have time to paint over 4 or 5 days like I normally would with one of my bigger paintings. That would, it'd be higher triple dig, not these smaller ones that I'll crank out in 4 or 5 hours. But I still sell those for a few $100, and those are absolutely. But here's the thing. They are my quick, I got to pay some bills paintings, but they're also shit that I'd love to paint. If I really wanted to, if I was smarter, my sellout paintings would be landscapes or, portraits of people's dogs. I can't say I wouldn't chase that down if I could actually paint animals, but if I was to paint your dearly departed cat, you'd want me dead. I just don't have that knack. I can't replicate.
Well, fuck. Now I want to see it, Ronster. What are we talking? I got to see what this is going to look like.
Well, it could be like a vomit clock thing where people pay me.
Quote me. Give me a legitimate quote on a portrait of my cat.
Quick 400.
I'm not kidding. Oh, well. We'll talk more.
Let me take a look at my bills. I'll get back to you.
Got
waste management
value when everything's out of symmetrical. It's just got value.
Yeah, that's true. Well, hey, laugh it up. When I die, that Spamo Blamo gun is going to be worth tens of dollars. You just wait and see.
When you die, go ahead.
Well, what I was going to say before I cut off, I would like to see in an art gallery a whole series of those old McDonald fucking characters. We're talking like Grimace and a bathing suit.
Anyway, Ross, what I was trying to tell you is
put them in a fancy, like a fancy frame setup.
A gold leaf ornate frame.
Yeah, it's like black iron fucking frames. You just walk through, it would be fucking amazing.
Yeah, like fancy oil portraits.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
exactly.
that would be great. I struggle with those too, though, because those are, I can do cartoonish paintings. Anything like I would struggle with Ronald McDonald. I would have a hard
Well,
time
see,
with
the
him.
things. Well, you just have to, spend more time with it all. Like your breakfast cereal monsters.
Mm-hmm. I've done Count
Those
Chocula,
kind of,
Frankenberry.
those things look awesome. I think it'd look to be able to do something.
It would be
have you ever
fun
done
is to do those as like realistic people.
Yeah, there you go.
Like,
That would be cool.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
What
I
would
bet
Grimace
someone's
look
done
like?
that. You can't
Whoa.
really have an original idea, but that would be a fun project.
Yeah.
Just like
The,
some dude that's pink with the inexplicable. I think
Purple.
Frankenberry
Grimace
has like what is it? It's like a steampunk eye and he's got like a little chimney coming out of his head. That'd be amazing to see like just real life dudes like that.
Speaking of berries, guys, I had to make a confession. Before I hopped on, my tradition, a little behind the scenes magic here, is I like to roll up 2 joints for the entirety of the podcast. And I'm only telling this story because I sent a photo of this to my buddy Jason, and he said, "That's hilarious. You should come have a drink with me right now. I'm at the barcade." And I said, "Oh, it's podcast night." And he goes, "Okay, you're excused, but you got to tell this story on the podcast." And I was like, "Oh, fuck, fine." So I go in to, I pull my little rolling tray off. I have it like stored above my counter on like something Logan can never get to. And I pull it down and I, pull out some weed and I'm grinding it up. And I look down and there's like one of the nugs of weed hopped out onto the tray or onto the counter. And I was like, "Oh shit." Whoa. Grab that up and I put it in the grinder too, and I go to close the lid, and right before I close the lid, I look at that nug again, I hold it up, and I kind of squeeze it in my hand. It's fucking Captain Crunchberry.
Nice.
It was a little dark in my kitchen. I'll send you guys the photo. But anyways, so yeah, I almost smoked me a Crunchberry tonight, guys. Almost.
Oh, you didn't end up grinding it?
No, I did
before,
not.
Yeah. Oh, of course.
You can see perhaps why when you look at my ground weed in the background and the Crunchberry in the foreground.
Well, who knows what you might have just discovered.
Well,
would have been good.
Introducing a bunch of cereal into the talk. I came across, I was grocery shopping, and I came across 2 ice creams. One's a Fruity Pebbles ice cream, and then the other one was Lucky Charms ice cream.
Yeah, I'd eat both those right now together.
I did. I bought them both.
Oh,
that kind
yeah,
of
baby. All right.
That sounds like a painting of mine. Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
About the end of the month, and I'm looking at waste management bill. Well, first of all, before I want to ask questions about this ice cream, but I'm looking at is this a cocoa nugget or is that a berry? It looks brown.
It's like a berry. I know. It's like okay, here's the deal. It's not the
berry,
official. It might be a bad berry, bro.
Oh, it's not the official Captain. Admiral Crisp.
Admiral Crisp berries. They can't really afford the good food, so it's kind of.
It looks like an old Cocoa Puff.
Yeah, it definitely looks chocolate.
Yeah, it doesn't look good. It probably smoked like a motherfucker.
It's like, it's Captain Crunch, son. Can't wait till you learn to read, and I gotta start buying name brand.
No shit.
My brother and I laughed our asses off the first time my parents came home from a generic grocery store trip, and gone were the classic Fruit Loops in place of Fruity Doos.
Fruity Doos.
For whatever reason, we found that so fucking funny. That was
Were you like, "Mom, what's this shit?" And she's like, "Listen here, Booger Boots, you get what I give you."
Yeah. Well, speaking of booger, I keep looking at that berry. I better close it. But it's definitely berry flavored. You sure about that? It's not a Cocoa Puff that got mixed up in there.
Yeah. Nope. I've been I got a big old bag of Admiral Crisp. That's great.
Okay, so the Lucky Charms cereal, is it literally like Lucky Charms in the ice cream, or is it just meant to?
Like vanilla. It's vanilla, and then it's got like the little mushrooms.
Mushrooms? Fuck. Gross.
Marshmallows in it. The stars and rainbows and all that good
like
stuff.
the actual ones, like the actual Lucky Charms marshmallows.
Yeah.
That'd be good. I mean, I like Rocky Road, right? Come on, I get a marshmallow in that, I'm pretty happy.
With vanilla
Fuck yeah.
ice cream too.
Oh, sure.
I want the cereal in that at this point. Like, give me the crunchy cereal too, with maybe a little sugar.
Well, you could let it
want
melt,
all, Lyle.
and then just have ice cream, melted ice cream instead of milk.
Dude, this is genius.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't gotten into the Fruity Pebbles yet. In fact, I think they're close to Pebbles. But
Well, why don't we live review them?
It seems like that wouldn't hold up as much. Like I wonder if that got chewy. Does the Lucky Charms have the little bits in it, the little alpha bit?
Someone, yeah.
No, I don't.
Yeah,
that's what I want.
Interesting with the Fruity Pebbles. I wonder if it's got the. Oh, I bet they grind it up and make it like little crisp bites.
Full circle with the Fruity Pebble grinding.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't opened that one up yet, but I know for sure that the Lucky Charms.
You can't afford Fruity Pebbles, Chris. It's fruits sand. Fruit sand.
Yeah.
Huh. Well, do you report back? Who put this out? Is this
I was in Safeway. I was just walking by. I was like, clearance sale? Sweet.
But what brand of ice cream is it? Do you know? Off the top of your head?
You know, I don't remember.
Sounds like something that what's the company?
Hansbrough.
Well, Hershey does ice cream. I bet they're all the same company. These, you think you're buying 50 different brands, but really they're owned by the same 2 or 3 companies. So I wonder if it's one of those. But yeah, I miss being able to eat that kind of stuff. I loved and still love the idea, even when I can't eat it, the idea of like mashups or getting jiggy with, putting this into that.
Just graveyard of cereal, just like throwing them together.
Even the idea of just using like name brand cookies in your cookies and cream ice cream, that's relatively new. Like that shit didn't exist when we were kids. That was something that you started seeing more in the 90s, like maybe Ben and Jerry's were the first, or probably Dairy Queen, maybe Blizzards. I feel like all of a sudden you could get like a Kit Kat ground up in your ice cream. It's like, why the fuck has it taken this long? I remember how amazing the world looked post versus pre name brand candy bar in your fucking ice cream. Shit that we were Frankensteining together at home, but they really dialed it in. And then now that shit's everywhere. I mean, you go to like a Blue Spoon and they have, little tiny. I'm torn between the tiny versions that are made specifically for the ice cream. Like I feel like there were 2 different kinds of Dairy Queens. I can't remember, like one of them.
Breyers. There's Breyers and then the normal self-bought that were owned by individual people. And then there was the Breyers that were a company shaped. Like the one in Wenatchee is a Breyers, and that's why it sucks.
Oh. Well, I don't, well, there's something, exactly. See, we used to have one in East Wenatchee, and it was amazing. It was like the best Dairy Queen I'd ever been to, and I thought that they were all like that.
No, that was privately owned.
Until I had the Wenatchee one, and then that's when someone explained to me that there are 2 types of Dairy Queens. Anyway, the one, I never really got the food. Occasionally I would get one of their big burgers and some onion rings. I loved their fucking onion rings. But as you guys know, I was a fan of the Blizzard and Peanut Butter Parfait. But the Blizzard is where the difference really came in here. Because over here on the east side, now it's a Carl's Jr. now, so it's gone. You could get, when you got M&M's Blizzard, it was whole M&M's inside, and it was amazing. It did kind of hurt your teeth, but there's something about just biting into a whole M&M, and then there's some other things I can't remember. But on the other side, it was like they were ground up. And I was like, what the fuck is this bullshit?
Where's my teeth crackers?
What am I eating? Ground bugs here? What are these elder bugs that I'm chomping on? It just, the texture was, it felt like M&M dirt.
M&M dirt.
I ate it. I ate it all, but I was angry. And now we don't even have that option, sadly. But yeah. Oh, Brazier. Is that what you were trying to think of? Brazier. That's what I don't remember which one's which, but
the one in Wenatchee.
The one in Wenatchee is Brazier. Wow. It's so strange because that isn't a brazier like a type of stove or something. It's like a type of frying. Maybe I'm wrong. there shouldn't be two. In a world where you can walk into McDonald's and get a cheeseburger and chicken McNugget with sweet and sour in Washington State or in China, it's going to be relatively the same meal. You shouldn't cross a bridge and have two completely different experiences with Dairy Queens.
I can tell this cut you deep, didn't it? It really affected you.
It does. It did. It will.
It does. The things that have happened are happening and have yet to happen. Yes.
Things like this, future events such as these, will affect you in the future. So John Mark just sent a lost John Travolta. That's his favorite fuck. We got to remember to ask him about this. The John Travolta from Pulp Fiction, where he walks into a room.
Where is it?
Where is it? What's that? He posted maybe 1,000 versions of that on Facebook when that was all the rage. He just loves that fucking meme. Is he asking if we're on? Is that what he's trying to communicate to us?
I believe he's looking at my picture of the almost crunchberry and asking, what and why?
You look like someone took an Admiral Crisp in your palm. Let me see if he's on here. Anyway, yeah. I don't know how the fuck we got going down that path, but
you guys want to talk about the heart surgery?
Oh, that's right. You had the procedure.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's do it.
So 2 weeks ago, we've had a week off, I believe. I think it's been
a few.
Maybe 2. I think it's probably been 2.
Yeah, it's been a while.
So anyway, did the procedure, and it kind of sucked, for some more reasons alone. I don't understand, like if you're gonna go to do a surgery, something like that. So what it was, oh God, help me. What was it called? There's a name for it, and it's called they use a catheter to go in through your heart, and they go in through your groin.
Yeah.
And the thing is like, with the assumption that you're gonna do that, they should let you, kind of shave yourself, you would think, yeah?
Oh, they sprung that on you when you showed up. Shavy.
Yeah. Well, they probably got to make sure you're thorough, like right where they need you. So it's probably something they have to do, right? Like you go in to get a tattoo, they still shave you, even when I'm like, I'm good.
If you need me to, I'm good at following instructions. So anyway, and for cleanliness with the whole COVID and everything going around and stuff like that, I kind of wanted to have my underwear on, during the procedure, because you're wearing a gown and underwear.
Mm-hmm.
So
just a little security. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
you don't want to get that dick COVID.
That's terrible. and so like at first I'm like, oh fuck, whatever, and I flung them in my bag drawers, and I at the end of the because they had to put a needle in me. They had to do some other stuff, and we were talking about, the dialysis and stuff like that. It was a fresh nurse, only 2 years in. The other nurse had a little bit of experience, so we're just kind of like, almost in a sense, training and just kind of talking with the younger one to get her up to speed. And at the end, I was like, the nurse before you said that if I wanted to, I could wear my own drawers. I just, had to ask you,
drawers,
just to make sure. And she goes, yeah, you could use ours or you could use your own. I was like, well, fuck, I'm, completely comfortable. I picked out a fresh pair this morning.
Sure.
Just for this.
Oh, lucky.
Lucky. Yeah. So I get in there.
Put the cute black ones on for you.
Well, they match the top.
So I'm in my bed, and they finally get me up to. It's a long time, man. It took 2 hours just to get prepped for this surgery, and so like I get wheeled in all the way across the hospital into this room, and I'm like, Jesus Christ, this sucks. Because it's so bright. They have these like fucking lights that are just like beaming down at you, like you're getting inducted or something like that. I can imagine. So they do their thing, and the nurse looks at me and she goes, "Oh no, you can't have those on." I go, "What do you mean? She's your underwear. Get them off." I said, "All right." The nurse said I could have them on, and I just whatever, fucking took them off.
And she's like, "Oh my, put it back on."
You can't have that out here.
And So we had to, about like a minute later, literally had to transfer to the other bed. So I just got up and went and got to the surgical bed. And where this old nurse, which I want to say she was probably 70s, with these big old bottle top glasses, says, "Okay, well, it's gonna start shaking."
That's not the one you want, right? I mean, let's be fair.
Well, no, it's not. It's definitely. I think I remember the first time I tried shaving my pubes with an electric razor.
Oh,
and it was the worst traumatic fucking thing I've ever done in my life.
Most of us only have a first time when we try that.
I told you guys about it on the podcast.
Yeah.
I was like, man, I saw blood instantly.
Yeah.
I was like, what?
Yeah.
I felt blood instantly.
Oh.
Yeah, that razor once your weekend canceled.
Oh,
bad news.
So she's like going to town, just zing, zing, zing. And, you know, to be honest, it's been a while, you know, since
Sure. It's a jungle down there.
So it was a jungle down there.
The old COVID jungle.
The worst thing was she shaved me backwards. She shaved the mohawk and left the ball
against the grain.
No, she shaved like everything above off, and then left me with hairy balls.
Start a new
Party
trend.
in front and business in back. I don't.
Maybe a scroll it.
A scroll it mullet.
It looked like you want to make EDM music down there, and I don't know what's happening.
Oh, it was horrible.
That kid can play.
I'm just imagining like Band-Aids and bubble gum all just shoved up all in that biz because it was a horror scene.
I can't think of any situation where you would want everything else smooth as a whistle and hairy balls.
I'm looking straight up at the lights and just hoping I'm going to go blind. You know, just
don't let me see my balls, Lord. Not like this.
No. I'd rather get this over with. And so anyway, get this. She goes, she didn't even say anything like, "Oh, this is going to be cold" or anything like that, because they had to put these big old stickers for crash card stickers on me, you know, just in case, would start my heart and shit,
Sure.
and to stop do whatever to do. And they were on me, so they're cold. They weren't really that cold. They were actually room temperature. They're just real jelly and sticky.
Yeah.
And she was about to say something with that, what she was about to do, and she didn't. And what it was she had a cloth, like a hand cloth, wash rag, dipped in fucking alcohol. And she starts just getting me.
Just jerking you off with it? Like what?
Just cleaning up the blood mess. You know, no big deal.
Oh, what?
You know how painful that is on your neck. Can you imagine your scrot?
Because that's the alcohol that burns.
What's the bedside manner on this woman?
Really?
No doubt.
No, I know what it is. You fucking crazy. So anyway, she patched me up, luckily enough. You know, because it's not going in my dick hole.
Sure.
You know, this catheter
Thank
goes
God.
off the side of your shit, you know, just off to the side. It's no big deal.
Just some like
There's a big artery that goes right in the leg that goes, you know, in your groin. So anyway, that got dealt with. And the thing is that they don't put you out when they do this procedure. And apparently they didn't put me out. My mom has had the procedure done and they put her out. She was completely asleep, woke up, you know, and was home, no big deal. I sat there for 2.5 fucking hours. And as they ran this, it's basically just a small little catheter. And at the very tip of it, you know, you could imagine your finger. The very first, you know, where your fingernail is to that first knuckle is a piece of metal, and it either goes hot or it goes really cold. And what it does is it goes inside your heart, and it zaps your nerve endings, the nerves in your heart, to get it to pump correctly.
Crazy.
So like with AFib, and I think we talked about this before, but AFib, the top of the heart beats really fast, like super fast, like and the bottom beats like a normal heart, cha-chunk, cha-chunk, cha-chunk. So with that, the blood is just actually storing down at the bottom of the heart. It doesn't escape the heart. So, that only escapes the heart when they beat together. But what happens is at the bottom of the heart collects blood clots. So when they actually do start beating together, those blood clots are sparsely, pushed out all through your body. So you could have one down in your toe, you wouldn't know, or a finger, or, your elbow, whatever. They travel through your body. So that's why it was so important to get this procedure done. But what happened is they found out too, irregular heartbeat things. One of them was like kids usually have them. It's when kids, usually adolescents, to younger, they get disturbed or they get stressed out, and it changes their heart rate. And it's a thing. It's a genetic thing, but it's also a thing that some people, I guess, don't even know it, and I'm one of them. I had that, and so they were able to fix that.
So they think you've had this all your life, then?
All my life, 100% all my life.
It's not like, is it like PVCs or PACs or something like that?
Well, the second one was the one that was causing me the AFib.
Yeah.
And that was probably through dialysis. As they're pulling blood out of my heart, they're pulling blood out of my body. It's putting too much stress on my heart, and my heart's giving out, is what that was. And so it would change the beat of the heart. So what they did is went in there and they zapped it. And the thing is, I felt it all.
Well, that's what I was going to say. I want to pause before you go any further. I'm curious it kind of blows my mind that you were awake for this whole thing. I thought for sure it would be something they put you out for. But when they were putting that catheter, like, did you feel it like going all the way up you? Like as it traveled up your artery?
Wow.
Well, they numbed my leg. All the dude did was with Novocaine and a needle, he just sat there and jabbed my leg.
Yeah.
I mean, like he literally just jabbed it. He stabbed me like a dozen times in the specific-ish area where he was going to
go up all those nerves. But you must have still felt it then.
It was fascinating to me at first because what was going on was they did give me drugs. I'm not sure what they were, lidocaine or something like that. But it wasn't enough to get me like super high and fucking out there in the outer space. But like it was enough of a mild painkiller that
gave you a little bit of distance.
Yeah, I could feel it still. It still felt like gnarly heartburn. That's what it felt like.
That's just a weird psychological thing, I would imagine. Just knowing that is snaking up your fucking vessel.
They have a 4-foot monitor, like 4 foot long and probably 3 foot tall monitor that they wheeled in, and half of it, it wasn't even half of it. It was the size of probably like a 20-inch monitor, like computer monitor, was built into it, and it was showing the heart, and it was showing that catheter going through the heart.
Wow. You're watching this?
And through the valves, and I was watching it through the corner of my eye. Until the point
that would wig me the fuck out, man.
I agree. I couldn't watch myself get like a dental procedure done. I don't know how you could do that.
Dude, I could feel it in my chest.
Bro.
What it felt like, honestly, honest to God, what it felt like is somebody took a fucking chopstick and stuck it at the tip of it in like fire, and then stabbed from within, like your collarbone. And have
that sounds painful, Lyle.
So did you feel pain, or did you just feel like heat?
What it felt like. That's what it felt like. It felt like heat and it felt like fire right underneath, right up in that collarbone.
Were you not just like, ah?
I'm like that, just listening to it. I'm just trying to imagine seeing what's happening, like literally seeing something right in front of me on the screen and then feeling it. I would have so much of a weird like disassociation panic attack. They would have to really dial that drug in for me.
Once they start nodding into that heart, because your heart's got tons of valves, and when they open shut, they're just like I hate to say it, kind of like fish gills.
What do you think about that, Chris? You still in on this medical procedure? You're having a hard time looking at that monitor in 4K definition.
Well, as it beats, it closes on that catheter and then opens back up, and then they could move it a little farther, and then as it closes, they leave it alone, and then as it opens up, they move it a little farther. It's just, yeah, dude, it was crazy. It was fucking nuts.
So how
And then
long was the procedure once they were up to your heart? Like, was that almost done time, or was things just getting going at that point?
it seemed to me like I sat there for like 2.5 hours in the
All
operation.
said.
Yeah, I was awake through most of it. I think I blacked out a couple times.
So they must
Like
have to
two
really
times.
slowly snake that thing up, because I imagine there's got to be some risk of, like, what if they puncture you? Like, what if it goes through the artery?
Right. What do you tear the artery? If you tear that artery, though, if it shrinks it, because I think this is what happened to one of my buddy's dads. Had the surgery and he died because what happened was the artery that went into his leg broke and it fucking snapped up into his pelvis.
Oof.
and he
Woof.
and he bled. Yeah,
Like
Ugh.
rolled up like a cartoon, like mini blind, like.
yeah, just right back up inside, and they couldn't
Mm.
do anything.
Ouch.
His pelvis, and so
God,
yeah, you just
there's
bleed
so
out.
many things that could go wrong with this. It's unfucking believable every day that we just survive on this planet, just sitting on a couch, that everything inside us continues to function on any level.
Uh-huh.
It's so many things that
So
could go
great.
wrong.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I'm kind of a little, obviously I'm glad it's over.
And it worked, right? Like it seems like it worked.
I don't know if it worked or not. We won't know for another month. I have to get off
Okay.
the blood thinners. That's going to take a month. And once I'm off the blood thinners, then we'll start to know exactly
What
where
day
we're-
did you do this? When was your surgery? How many days ago?
2 Fridays.
So, but you were going into AFib within that, like this was happening just
Well,
like
that
every
month
few
was-
days, right?
Yeah, that was almost every other day.
So it seems like it's helped already.
Yeah, I haven't hit AFib since.
Yeah. That's
But I
got to be
haven't-
a good sign.
Since
Sorry,
they
go ahead.
well, I was going to say since they stopped and started my heart the very last time for the third time since my birthday, since September.
Mhm.
I haven't gone into AFib. So,
Does the blood thinner medication affect that though, or is that what the like?
big time. Yeah.
Okay.
So
we'll have
they're
to
going
wait
to
till
take
you're
you
That's
off
weird.
that, and then
Once they take
See.
me out that, the blood is going to get thicker, so my heart's going to beat a little harder. It's going to be harder to beat, and then past that, I need to start getting off my ass and doing some exercise. My shoulder has been out for for at least a solid week, enough where it felt like I dislocated my shoulder and it snapped back in because I could finally move it now.
just something unrelated or something.
I could have been when I was on the table.
Yeah.
I was on the operating table. I think it might have been because it was right after the surgery. I started having real bad issues, and they thought it might have been my fistula, where they tapped me into because it's the same arm where they put needles in my arm for dialysis, and so obviously doing the dialysis changed my heart. With them fixing my heart, it almost put some kind of weird thing in with my arm. In recovery, because my heart's beating again, once again, normal for the first time in a long time, probably ever, and now this giant fucking vein, vessel, it's in my arm that they use to pull blood out of me,
Oh,
it's
sure. Yeah.
gonna change too. So, and it felt like it hurt. It was all compressed, it was real swollen, and it just hurt real bad. So, and I'm glad that's over because that was actually
Yeah.
hell.
Yeah, we didn't know what. I was asking my mom and I was looking some things up. My mom wasn't actually. It sounds like this procedure is kind of new, or did you get that feeling?
No, I think it's been around
It's
for
been
quite
around
a
for a
while.
while.
I sent you guys informational stuff about it,
You know,
video. It showed a video.
I either missed that or just didn't play it quick enough and it got buried. But
Yeah,
I looked
was
it up and we did find out that because we thought that we'd hear from you by 3:00 or something.
Oh no, God, no.
They were like, no, he could be in recovery for several
I was-
hours after the surgery. So
I was still being I was getting drilled. I think I was on the table getting drilled.
Just getting
by
drilled, huh, Lyle?
72-year-old. Just sit there, sonny.
Oh,
done
God.
this more than once. That kind of surprised me that they were using an electric. Now, when you're saying electric, are you talking like a Norelco, like with the little discs, or like the clippers?
Like a clippers.
Oh, that's the meat mangler, man. Why would they mangle your meat?
I don't know.
You had a bad enough
sweet
year.
meat treat.
I almost thought about going to Bed Bath and Beyond and buying a spanking new one and give.
Yeah.
I'm not even joking. I was like,
But guys, listen, don't do what you did to me to anyone else.
Yeah. Well, they've got that manscaper that's supposed to be designed.
I got one.
And
I got one, motherfucker.
Is that what you hurt yourself on?
No, I did. I was like, never again. And then I saw that ad and I was like, oof, I don't know. So I got one, and I got to be honest, the boys are nice and clean.
Interesting, because if you look through the Amazon reviews, I almost ordered one, but when I would look through the Amazon reviews, it was like there'd be 1 4-star and then 30 1-stars. Or it's like, bullshit, never again, ruined my date. And I was like, oh, it's just like, but it's just a different type of clipper, right?
I don't know what the difference is, honestly. It just, and don't get me wrong, I've never drawn blood yet, but there's been a couple of times where I was like, ooh. Yeah, I was like, ooh. But,
Yeah, well, immediately when you've nicked the mad.
So, you guys at home, if you actually want to see what that procedure is called, it's called the catheter ablation. And you can go to YouTube and just YouTube it up.
I'm gonna go to Pornhub and
to the computer. Yeah.
Well, there's a Pornhub version.
It's not real life. It's done in digital. It gives you an idea what the hell we're talking about.
Yeah, I am curious.
Yeah, it's called a catheter ablation.
Sounds so
well.
bad.
I'm glad you made it through, especially knowing that some people haven't. Good Lord, I didn't know that there was like a risk like that, but. And it seems like you're on the right track again.
Hoping so.
But pretty nifty that they found something else that you were born with. It's like, who knows what that might have prevented down the road for you.
That's the kind of thing. It's kind of related to everything else too. And with my problem is I still have one kidney even though it's shot.
Yeah.
And I still urinate quite a bit. I still make a lot of water. My dialysis doesn't believe me. Apparently they think that I don't. But with heart failure, and that's exactly what that was, that causes edema. And what that means is it's also because it's lack of circulation, because your heart beats, as it beats, it creates circulation of blood through your body. That's what gets your the blood and the water and all the stuff that's in your legs back up in your chest, back into your waist, up in your your kidneys and stuff, so it could suck it up and so you could urinate it out. That's really important. And for months it's been to the point where all the fluids I take in, they go straight down to my legs. Boom.
Yeah.
And there's no circulation. There's no nothing. They're just there. So in dialysis, they have to leach it off me. It's getting pretty crazy. It's like 10 pounds a visit, every other day.
That's insane.
That's super
insane. Imagine picking up a 10-pound bowling ball. How much water it would take to be the comparable in weight.
They go by kilos.
Pulling that out of you.
A kilo is almost 2 pounds, and what they got me set up is 5 kilos every time I go in.
Why are we? I wonder why.
Sometimes it's bad.
The metric thing. It's like, why? How come some things are metric and some things aren't? Are we really the last ones to go to the metric system? But anyway,
I feel screwed on it because it's like, what do? If you go to the gym, you're automatically going to start putting on weight because muscle weighs more than fat.
Mm-hmm.
So you're screwed there. And
do more cardio.
I've tried. I can't sweat. I don't even get it. It's like, I can't do it.
Oh, you need to do some hot yoga with the hot yoga instructor. It'll make you sweat.
Yeah. That's what I'm talking.
Downward facing doggy.
Don't mind the stars down there. It was a bomb went off.
Like, do you like to lick hairy balls and smooth everything else?
Smooth runways.
Don't worry, I carved you a path to the forest. Oh,
For the record,
nurse.
since then, that's been fixed.
Good to know.
Ladies.
Yeah, comma. Ladies. Yeah. Well, success all around, sounds like. Fingers crossed that's the last speed bump in the road, and you can get back to the good old days of just needing a kidney.
I don't know what
Jesus.
anymore, dude. Jesus.
Yeah, I don't blame you. Just like whatever, day by day.
Yeah, that's what it is. I mean, you got to just do it that way. One of the other good things about that situation, which we didn't talk about, was the doctor, Dr. Lee, very cool dude. Got me in there, did what he could for me on really short notice. But he said that, because he knows I was worried about getting a kidney. And he said, you don't have to worry about any of this, because all of this won't cut you from having a kidney transplant. There's certain procedures,
but it did delay it.
Facts, it did delay it, but it didn't pull me from not ever happening. Yeah. Well, I mean, if I had any other kind of like heart, ailment, they couldn't fix, they would deny me of ever getting a kidney at all.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So he said that I got a green light. There's nothing that should be holding back.
Great news. Just one more fucking experience. I hope you're, writing a journal or something so you could put out a book of how to experience every medical procedure ever within a 3-year period. You've got some stories to tell at the very least, but onward and upward. And so now, quickly, so we got to move on, but where are we now with, are we, I guess we're still kind of waiting to see. You got to get the heart thing squared away 100% before you're back, right? Yeah. Or am I wrong?
No, you're right. And it seems like it's doing good. Like I said, I haven't been into AFib or anything like that since. I had to make a couple phone calls. I need to call Virginia Mason and talk to him about what's going on and let them know. One of the biggest things that was holding everything back was my stupid fucking insurance. I didn't have medical. I didn't have the drug part of my medical stuff. That was covered with my Cobra stuff, what I lost from my ex-employer. So
do you have it now?
I do, but it doesn't start until the first of the year.
Okay.
But at the year, bam, it's golden. So I shouldn't have any problems.
Well, we will definitely be still doing our fundraiser. Obviously we had to put pause on that while we figured out what was going on here, but it's gonna happen, man. We're gonna get through this. It's been a fucking arduous journey for you, but you're gonna get there.
Yeah.
Fuck, you've just overcome so much.
I know,
dude.
that's
wild.
the thing. It's like just still kicking and improving. It's amazing.
I've been trying not to get on that murder wheel. That one wheel. It just sits in the corner. I look at it and go,
I've been worried about that. If I don't know if we've mentioned that on the podcast, but Lyle got himself what do they call, a one wheel? One wheel. Yeah, don't get a kidney. Don't get all of this taken care of only to have you fucking be in the hospital because you fell on your goddamn dome. It's like, well, he needs a brain transplant now. Like, whew, boy.
He was on those blood thinners and he took
that's a real fucking danger too. Yeah.
That is a real thing. That's why I haven't, because I know that's part of the dangerment. If I can't take head hits. I can't take falls.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, I mean,
you'll see your lifeblood going.
Blood thinners, but
tricky.
It's calling me. The murder wheel's calling me.
Well, you got to live how you want to live. What's the point in surviving if you can't live? John Mark, you there?
Barely.
Hey, man.
You missed some great updates from Lyle. Highly recommend you listen to the show when it comes out. The first 40 minutes were some gold.
Will do.
But I'm glad you're here because we're about to start shifting toward something that I want to talk about. And then we are going to, let's see, I think we'll do, what do you guys think? Should we do Weird Triv and then end on the record club like we usually do? We have something a bit different this time, but
I think we should. Yeah, let's keep it traditional.
Okay, well, I've got something that's going to fit in nicely with talking about favorite bands, because I came across this list of what is widely regarded, scientifically based, mind you, and I'll explain more.
Science.
As the 20 most hated rock bands. And this list was compiled last year, so it's pretty fresh.
Oh man, okay.
This is tough.
And get again.
But
is there some like
we're gonna do
classic,
the elimination.
Classic? Oh god.
There's a few classics. I will say most of these are within the last 25 to 30 years.
Easy.
Is there some on there that you would like disagree with?
Oh, almost all of them. But here's the thing.
Indubitably.
John Mark, go ahead and mute until you're ready to speak. Got some background
No
noise.
muting.
You will hear my noise. Love me, love my noise.
It's the John Mark experience.
Yes, in 3D. I need to explain
Everyone must
this.
hear the dog carrot rattling sound.
I need to explain this carefully because the problem is that these are almost all great bands. Some of them aren't a surprise, but what I want you to do is not think about the worst bands. You got to think about the most hated bands. That's a different list. Although some might cross over, including some that I love very much. But the way this was, let me read how this was. So it was scientifically ranked, using easy to understand algorithm based on a sound analytical mathematical result. In part, bands are ranked based on whether they appear on several hated band lists or rankings or websites. So it's just sort of aggregated from all the chatter on Twitter, on like Ranker, on news groups, on Reddit, news groups, that dated me, people dissing on these bands.
Sure.
Yeah.
So I've informed you as well as I can. I don't think I've got
The one
handy.
question.
I'll do this some other way. Go ahead.
The genres just mixed.
This is rock bands.
Just rock.
And as I'm scrolling through the list of 20, I can tell you that all of these would be considered rock bands for the most part. I mean, the genres are all over the place.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely fair to call these rock bands, or at least bands.
Who's going first?
Most of them in the last 25 years. I'm going to let Lyle go first because don't you think he's earned a first crack?
Jesus. Okay, here we go.
Oh, Mohawk Balls is going first, and this could go any which way. So take a guess, Lyle. Who do you think?
You're going to call me Triple Balls.
The trouble with Triple Balls. And again, you want the closest, number 1 will be worth 20, and number 20 will be worth 1. So you want to do, in fact, I better write that out here. I wasn't prepared for this at all. This came up 5 minutes before the show.
Band coming out of Canada is going to be the most hatest band in the world with their new single, She Hates Everything by Nickelback.
Lyle right out of the bag with number 1. It is, in fact, Nickelback. Now, that may be the least... there's a couple on here that won't surprise. But that one will definitely be the least surprising one on here. The least controversial, I would say. One of the least.
Oh, really?
That really is only band.
Fuck.
You know what the thing is, though, too?
10 of my favorite...
really
well, I shouldn't say. A lot of my favorite bands are on this list, but a lot of the bands that I hate are on this list. Sorry, Lyle, go ahead and finish your thought.
Well, I was just saying Nickelback's really not that bad of a band. I mean,
No.
and even Jeff, or what's his name? Is it Jeff? It's not Jeff, is it? Lead singer.
The singer, is it Kevin something? I think it's
Kyle. It's some terrible name. Some guy.
Yeah,
Chad.
I guess it's Chad. There you go.
Chad. Chad.
We went through all the white guy names, huh?
Sorry, Chad.
Sorry, Chad.
Yeah, Chad is kind of the new Karen, or the male
He
Karen.
married Avelina. What's her name? Fucking
Avra.
Yeah.
Good Lord.
Avra.
We are old.
Javelina.
All right. Well, Lyle is looking
I think we were just jealous.
good and solid here. Let's go to, since he was here on time. Sorry, John Mark. You're going to take up the caboose here. Christopher, you go next.
I'm really torn between saying like a really big rock band that has a huge fan base, but also could also have a huge anti-fan base.
Mm-hmm.
And just like saying the band that I think is like one of the worst rock bands to come out of that time era, that fuck it, I gotta go with Limp Bizkit. Is Limp Bizkit on here?
Ooh, very good. Yeah. Limp Bizkit, number 2 with a bullet.
Yes, bitch.
Yeah. No,
yes,
you're in the right. You're in the right wheelhouse for this one. So you got 19.
Nice.
Hey, I did it all.
Right.
Took all the good ones.
Oh, there's a big one that's very on the nose that I bet John Mark will get unless he overthinks it.
I'm probably overthinking it.
Most hated band.
Yeah. I'm going to go with Fish.
Interesting. Well, not the one I would have guessed you'd choose, but Fish is on the list at number 7, which gives you 13 points. Right? Is my math right on that? I don't have this written out like I usually do. Yeah, we'll call it good. Yeah, Fish. Don't know a lot about that band. I think Fish is one of those bands that a lot of the hate they get is probably by association with their fans. Kind of like Tool. I think a lot of people hate Tool because of Tool fans tend to be douchebags. I'm one of them. I would know. But, yeah, don't know why they're on the list. I feel like they're just one of those bands where if you don't like them, who gives a shit? You know what I mean? Now things will get interesting. But again, I will say there is definitely, there's 2 I would say are high on most people's hate list. One very obvious one still on the board here, and it goes back to Lyle.
I might be overdating myself by going a little winger, maybe.
Well, that is going way back. No winger on here. I think winger faded into history too quickly to have staying power on this kind of list. But I will say this. There are some from that era. Not many, but there are some from that era. Actually, just a couple. But the list is all over the map concerning subgenres. So that's your first whiff. That's a good opportunity for Christopher to pass you here.
I'm going to go with a popular band that I think, like, again, maybe swinging to the other side, a band that maybe you just hear too much, you can't fucking stand. And I don't feel this way about this band, but, like, what about Metallica?
Metallica is number 14. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. See what I mean? It's like you're thinking the right way, Chris. It's like you got to think about
you can't
maybe
think,
bands people are sick of hearing about is a good way of thinking about it. But that's good for 6.
All right.
John Mark. Big one. Big obvious one, you guys. I'm surprised you guys have taken 2 rounds to get to this one.
Man, I'm torn between 2 separate bands right now, but I'm going to say Pearl Jam.
Ooh.
Pearl Jam is on the list, 17. So that gives you 3 points. Nothing to write home about.
Not enough.
They're points.
Oh, God.
Wasn't a whiff. Did you get it, Chris?
Okay.
You're just hoping that it comes back all the way to you? We got to get through Lyle first.
I have one on in my brain, but I'm not sure it's the right one.
Okay. Well, you would know if it was the one that I think you all should be obvious about. But let's see if Lyle gets it here. Most hated band.
Yeah, well, because I don't hate them, but like I can see where people would hate them. Red Hot Chili Peppers.
They do get a lot of hate, and I was kind of surprised they weren't on this list. No Red Hot Chili Peppers on this list.
Wow, I am super surprised by that.
Took one for the team. I was going to say that.
I was surprised too. And Lyle's second whiff. Good guess though. That one. I think a lot of people listening are like, "What?" People were playing along, shouting out Red Hot Chili Peppers. Now that is a band. I kind of compare them to Aerosmith, where their early stuff was unique. It was like definitive, like a very different kind of sound. But then they changed, and then they had massive success with one terrible song, and then they just made every other song after that
under the bridge
based on that terrible song. Yeah. And with Aerosmith, it was Crying. They'd had hits before that, of course. But do you remember when like every song just Saturday Night Live did a hilarious skit on it where it was, you'll get the greatest hits of Aerosmith, Crying. I was crying and amazing, crying, amazing, crazy, amazing, cry. It was just like it went on morphing all these. And it was so true. Like every fucking song after that, just like they wanted to recapture that, and I thought that was the same thing with the Red Hot Chili Peppers, because their earlier shit was some seriously groovy, brilliantly played. Those guys were kids when they started that fucking band, and
it just came to me.
they can
It
fucking
just
play.
came to me.
Oh,
I
well,
know
this
what
is
it
a
is.
good time to do it. Bring it home.
With arms wide open.
Number
It's gotta be
3
Creed, right?
with a bullet.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
It's going to make you
Okay.
tough to beat. So you got 19, then 6, and that is number 3 for 17. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
This is number 3.
Okay, now it's going to be tricky. Creed was number 3. The rest of these, you're going to have to get a little more creative. Still a few on here that I hear people hating on, including some of my favorite bands. So there's lots. They're all very well-known bands. I'll say that.
I mean, I don't want to do this, but you already said it, so I'm going to say Tool. Tool's got to be on there.
Tool is not on here. There are.
I don't want to do this.
There's
but...
something that I feel like is in. There's a very similar band, not musically, but that I hear similar grumblings about than Tool. So I could see Tool on here, but honestly, Tool is also. They kind of just hide in the shadows a bit more than a lot of these other bands, you know?
Yeah, they're not super overexposed.
No, and they put out an album every 12 fucking years.
Yeah.
But I if this list went to 25 or 30, I'm sure you would see Tool on there. So that's John Mark's second whiff, which takes us back to Lyle. We'll do a few more rounds here. Chris really pulled away by getting 2 of the top 3.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man. Again, I don't believe these, but like, how about Rob Zombie?
Ooh.
Oh, Rob Zombie, I would put also probably in that category where it's just like not quite in the spotlight enough, but definitely has his haters. I hear a lot of people shit on him as a musician and a filmmaker, by the way. But no, not on this list.
It started out well.
Papa Roach.
Papa Roach, no, little again.
I thought for sure that'd be on there.
These bands that remain are huge bands. Papa Roach, again, they might have popped up in the top 30 or 40, but I only have the top 20. So I think that might be Christopher's first whiff. So this is a good opportunity for you guys to catch up here. John Mark, what say you?
I hate to say this, but I'm gonna. Foo Fighters?
Foo Fighters are a pretty shit-talked band, but they're not on this list. Yeah.
Too bad for me.
I was curious about that. I think the thing with Foo Fighters, what I hear all the time, and I know this will offend Chris, and it offends me to some degree. I am a Foo Fighters fan. I'm a fan of exactly 3 of their albums, but I love those albums are pretty important to me.
Yeah.
But what I'm about to say,
No,
I think is fairly universal. Even if you hate the Foo Fighters or you think their music is overrated and boring, most people love Dave Grohl. You know, it's kind of hard to not like the guy, and I think maybe, just my hypothesis here, maybe that kept him off this list.
I'm a fan of the Foo also.
It's hard to hate on Dave. So that's another whiff for John Mark. There's one in the top 4 that I understand, but we don't talk about this band as much as we did a few years back. And then one of them, I don't think you guys will ever guess. I'm surprised it's on the list, but I do kind of hate him. And then some that are classic, like people have been hating on for a long time. So, like I said, it's going to be tough. But remember, I think the bulk of these henceforth will be bands that maybe stuck around longer than they should have concerning their importance in some people's opinion. Like enough about so-and-so already. You know what I mean? The Beatles aren't on this list, but maybe something a little closer to that sort of thing. So I think we're back to Lyle.
Oh, is it mine or is Chris? John Mark went last.
Yeah, it's yours.
It's you. Yeah.
Okay. I don't want to say it because I did believe it at one point in time, but then after his death, I saw his music writing differently, and that would be Prince.
Interesting. I wouldn't be surprised to see Prince on this list, but he is not. You know, this came out last year, so at that point his death was only, 3 or 4 years? God, when did he die? So maybe people were paying him some reverence. Prince. Here's the funny thing about Prince. Prince is like, there's a few bands. David Bowie's another one. There's a few bands or artists that get name dropped all the time, and you see people wearing their T-shirts and talking about them all the time. But then when you start talking to people, you find out pretty quickly that they don't really know much about their music. They know a couple of songs. They just like the idea of the person. David Bowie especially is like that. I can't tell you how many disappointing conversations I've struck up with people wearing David Bowie T-shirts, and they can't even name one song. And I think a lot of people with Prince, they know two or three.
Just like David Bowie. I know people who are like just rabid David Bowie fans. Like, you know, like I know somebody who has David Bowie's fucking autograph tattooed onto his arm, and then he got, you know, autograph and went straight to the tattoo shop.
That's is that Annette's friend? What's
this
kid? He worked at the World. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. No, he is absolutely. I'm a huge David Bowie fan, and I would be intimidated to talk to him about David Bowie. But you know, I'm a big David Bowie fan, and it's just one of those weird things where I don't know if it's people looking for street cred or if they just like the idea of David Bowie because they loved Labyrinth. I don't know what it is, but Prince has a very similar thing. Chris, this could be your time to seal the deal. I think you already have, but we'll do a few more rounds to give the others. Looking at the clock, we got time.
I'm gonna go with them, and I hate to say this is true for me. I can't stand this band, and I know you're not gonna like this.
Okay.
But the Rolling Stones, I don't get the Rolling Stones. It's not for me.
Again, it's another band I wouldn't be surprised to see in this group, but not on the list.
Okay.
But I'm the same, Chris.
Well, here's the thing.
Okay.
I think that would be on like maybe most overrated bands or bands I don't get. I don't know a lot of people that you don't actually hate the Rolling Stones, though, do you?
I just don't care for them. Like a song comes on, it's like,
that's fair.
Cool.
But hate? Would you say?
I don't think you hate. I don't hate them either.
I've tried to listen to.
Not listen to them.
Yeah.
I've tried to listen to the albums to get what the
me.
appeal is, and I cannot get it. I just don't. It doesn't hit me.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of the Beatles. I really don't like.
Yeah, I don't understand that either. But the Rolling Stones. The people not getting the Rolling Stones is very, very common in people of my generation. You go back one generation and you don't see that as much. I don't know if the kids these days are listening to Rolling Stones at all, but I would guess the average age of people showing up to a Rolling Stones show these days are about as old as the Rolling Stones themselves.
Rolling Stones.
But yeah, it just baffles me. And there are so many different eras of the Rolling Stones that it just seems like there's got to be an album out there for everybody. But
I bet
maybe
there
not.
is. It's just hard to sift through the shit, you know, like
they also most of my least favorite Rolling Stones songs are the ones you're going to hear on the radio all the time. Jumpin' Jack Flash does nothing for me. If I hear Satisfaction, you know, when Brian Jones wrote that very simple, you got to remember, this was like the early 60s. Rock and roll was new. That was a different fucking sound, and it was catchy. But Jesus, if I never hear it again, I'll be fine. Same with a lot of those big Rolling Stones hits. But then you listen to something like Moonlight Mile or Sway, or anything off of fucking Goat's Head Soup. Even Angie. Like when you hear Angie in the flow of the rest of Goat Head Soup, it's just, God damn, this band is next level. And then they end with the song that says Starfucker like 40 times. This was in the 60s or 70s, you know, just like a kind of a badass punky in a lot of ways, that band. Just doesn't resonate with people of this generation. It's fascinating, but not on the list. Let's do 2 more rounds, see if you guys can get anything. If you don't, it's pretty clear how this is going to go, and then I'll give you the answers and we'll move on. John Mark?
You said something
like
kind of
big bands.
Right. You said something. Well, I'm going to say something that to me makes sense, but maybe it's not on there anymore. But I'm going to say Grateful Dead.
Grateful Dead, I think, would be a great one for this list.
I'm on that too.
They're not on this list. Now, see, I felt that way about the Grateful Dead for a long time, and I'm still not a big Grateful Dead fan. But the first time I heard, this was like 10 years ago, the first time I heard American Beauty, in that first track, which was Box of Rain, I fell in love with the Grateful Dead to some degree. And I still, then I went back, it was like, what's that? Oxamoa or whatever that album is. It's fucking brilliant. But it's similar thing. All I knew from the Grateful Dead was like, driving that train. If I never hear that song again for the rest of my life, I'll be fine. And all the dipshit druggy buddies that I had back in the 90s, we're all driving up in the boonies, drinking boonies. And they're playing that song for the 15th time, and they always have to look at you and shout out, high on cocaine. It's like, he's talking about doing cocaine, man. It's like, neat. They're singing about drugs. Does that really make this band that fucking prolific? But it's also a very dizzying catalog, much like the Rolling Stones. Like, where do you even fucking start? Good guess, and I would have fully supported them being on this list, even though I do listen to them now. Lyle, take another gab.
With Metallica being on there, I kind of want to go with everybody else's California fucking butt rock band, Guns N' Roses.
Another one I was really surprised not to see on here. That's another one. My generation kind of likes Guns N' Roses still, but the younger generations after me fucking hates Guns N' Roses. Like millennials, I hear shitting on Guns N' Roses all the fucking time. So I bet they're like 24, 25 on the list, but nah, not in the top 20.
What about, okay, I think it's me, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and could be just like, I don't feel this way, but I know people in this area that certainly do, just because it's so overplayed. But what about Nirvana?
Nirvana is on the list. And see, I was trying to get you guys going there thinking like the Beatles type thing, where they were so important and people never shut the fuck up about them that the next generation is like, oh, if I have to hear about Nirvana one more time. They're low on the list, but that got you 2 extra points at number 19.
Okay.
Well, I think that'll about do it. But if you guys all just want to shout out a few before I give you the list, go ahead. Any particular order. It doesn't have to be any order. Just if you had any in the chamber.
Corn with the K.
Corn in the K? Corn in the K. I had corn in the K this morning, number 15. That would have got you a few more points.
Oh, fuck.
Marilyn Manson.
Oh,
no,
good guess.
no Manson.
Fuck. The one I was thinking about, I was going to say, and I forgot.
The one you were thinking about, you were going to say.
Ed Sheeran.
Two of them are
He's
my
not
favorite
rock.
bands. I'll tell you that much.
Rush.
Yeah, Rush is at 18. I'm surprised that Rush is that low on the list because growing up, so I had to defend that band. I just gave up. It's like, and I kind of got it. It's like Rush is a weird, unhip, goofy fucking band that does not make music that makes sense for a lot of people. So I understand the Rush hate, but yeah, that was number 18. But
how about
I only had one. Oh, go ahead.
How about John Mayer?
That's a good one too. But yeah, he's not on the list. He's not.
What about boy bands? What about like NSYNC?
Yeah, not rock. Rock.
None of those are on this one. We'll do this again with pop bands.
I have one that I kept on in the chamber. Is Weezer.
No Weezer. I don't hear a lot of Weezer hate.
I thought that too.
That surprises me.
Honestly, you think Weezer gets a lot of hate?
I hear it. I see it all the time. Yeah.
Interesting. Now that I think about it, I feel like that's kind of a similar thing with the Red Hot Chili Peppers. Is that the early shit? Everyone was just like, this is new and fresh and coming from a fun, weird attitude that we hadn't really seen before. And then they just kind of went wonky and did very un-Weezer music. But yeah, the Blue Album and the Green Album, and Pinkerton, of course, I think are still fucking brilliant. Well, one that I was trying to steer you toward that is one of my favorites, of course, is Radiohead. That was at number 8.
Oh, yeah.
They get a shit ton of hate. I was also surprised Pink Floyd wasn't on this list. I think 10 years ago they would have been.
Not relevant enough anymore,
yeah,
I think.
You're right. But growing up, that was another band that everyone was shitting on. Probably because Johnny Rotten claimed to hate them, even though he was secretly not only fans but friends with all of them, which you found out later. Very strange. Number 4, U2. Another band that doesn't feel relevant these days, but definitely one that a lot of people got sick of, especially late 90s, early 2000s. Weren't we all kind of sick of U2?
I think that whole like putting their album on everybody's iPhone was like the
nail in the coffin.
It was like that was a fucking betrayal. Like you snuck into my bedroom and watched me sleep. That was a bad call.
Sounds like a wet dream for the Ronster.
Like, seriously, one of the most. I mean, Apple has dropped the ball many times, but that was one of the. They were kicking ass at that era. Wouldn't you agree? Like the iPod, the iPhone, and like everything, they were making some pretty good choices, and people were still kind of pro Apple. That was a big bungled move right there. Putting U2
the beginning of the end for them, for sure. Yeah.
Number 5, I did not expect anybody to get, and it's puzzling, but John Mark and I used to make fun of him when they would come on the radio. Mumford & Sons. I will wait for you.
Totally. I thought that like they were not in the zeitgeist. I mean, I would have figured that they weren't even in the zeitgeist because I completely forgot that name.
Weird to see them in this list just a year ago. Number 6, I'm surprised no one got this because this is a polarizing singer. Not a rock band, but belongs in the rock list, I suppose. Bob Dylan.
I hate him. I fucking hate him. Yeah.
Very, very hateable. I'm a huge Bob Dylan fan, but I wasn't until I was in my early 20s. And I had to fall in love with Woody Guthrie before I went back to discover Bob Dylan. Fucking love him. Kind of obsessed with him, actually.
Voice, though.
Yeah, well, even he's got a lot of different voice phases, too.
Yeah, okay.
So not all of them were, everybody must get stoned. And I still don't really listen to... Blonde on Blonde has some good stuff, but I'm more into his early stuff where he was kind of aping Woody Guthrie. And then, where did you go, my blue-eyed son? You know, his voice was mellower back then and just good finger picking and amazing lyricist. But I get it. That's why I was kind of expecting you guys to guess it. 7 was Fish. 8 was Radiohead. 9 was Kiss. Total fucking hated band. Another band that I had to defend all the fucking time growing up.
John Mark's OEAs are getting me. They're getting me good.
Well, John Mark, are you a Kiss fan or are you not? Because I've gone back and forth as to whether you are.
I'm not really. I had, I kind of, like when I was I don't know, 10, 11, 12. Started like because it wasn't really available to me that much, what I'm saying, like where I was in Bangladesh, but like I would see pictures of them in comic books and shit and be like, what the hell is this all about? And I didn't really know much about rock music at the time, really. I think the first Kiss album I had was Animalize, and that was post makeup, but I remember there being some songs
Heaven's
on there that
on
were kind of catchy. Yeah. Heaven's on Fire and Burn Bitch Burn.
I don't think Gene Simmons was on that album. He's on the pictures,
I'm
but
pretty sure he was.
I don't think he was actually playing. It was either that or Asylum, one of those 80s.
Pretty sure he was singing on it because it seems I remember his voice on there, but I don't know, it's been like a billion years since I listened to it. But yeah, I kind of like enjoyed that album at the time.
Sure.
And I like some of their songs, like when you see them back in their heyday, doing the windmill and the fucking flaming pickups and the shit in the, it's like, it's awesome. Fun. But yeah, I wouldn't like listen to one of their albums, now, but it's interesting. It's kind of cool.
I was a huge Kiss fan, still am to some degree. I kind of burnt myself out on them. But Ace Frehley's great, but he's no Kerry King. Am I right, John Mark? What's that?
That's right.
What is that? Is that
Teenage Bottle Rocket?
Teenage Bottle Rocket, yeah. Now, number 10.
Bigger than Kiss.
I asked you guys before getting on the show what you would consider like a band that you just fucking hate or the worst band. Now, I guess they're two different things, but this is a band that I really fucking hate coming in at number 10. And I just don't get at all the success level. Dave Matthews Band. Kind of surprised you guys.
I was gonna. Yeah, they were. That was in my chamber for sure because I know.
Yeah, I had
very
that
polarizing band
as well. Yeah.
I think
it was like the same. Let's go ahead.
I think it was kind of more the hippie movement.
Yeah, well, he ties into the the Fish kind of, they're a jam band, and they'll be like, oh, dude, 40-minute extended guitar solo, sweet, and they love that. I would kill myself. Well, before we move on, did you guys have a band that you could pick? Just like one band that you think was like the worst band? Dave Matthews was my answer. When I was younger, it was The Cure. I thought that was the worst, fucking stupidest band on the planet. And then when I got older, it's like, no, I was coming at it all wrong, and I like him now. But I just didn't like. I'd see this dude like all gothy and wearing white Nikes and like, and I still think some of that is a little silly, but I didn't give the music a chance like I did later on, and they.
You think like a band you gave another go later on and realized this is genius?
Yeah, and there are a couple of them. But you guys got any like that?
Tune, I can't think of it. I know I've done this many times.
I think you know already. I think we probably had this discussion about what is the worst, and there's a lot out there. But I think I'm a firm believer in to each their own. And when I was like 15, I'd be like, that shit sucks. That's fucking lame.
Yeah.
But now I understand that everything is not for everybody, and I know that most of the music that I listen to is like fucking nails on a chalkboard to most people. So I'm not really one to. I don't really have a leg to stand on,
Sure.
But I'm trying to think. But like I really can't stand Dave Matthews either, to be honest, to that kind of stuff. But it's like it's not for me.
Yes, this is the greatest band of our generation. Absolutely. I was like, what? Like, I get it, people liking it, I guess, but selling out the Gorge 3 straight days every fucking, they do Memorial Day weekend out here at the Gorge. Yeah.
Honestly, like, I really don't like Pearl Jam. I know that's like anathema to a lot of people, but it's just, I just really don't. This is the same with like Chris and the Rolling Stones. I just don't like listening to them.
Yeah.
I don't like their songs. I just don't like it.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean it sucks or anything. It's just like it doesn't. It just doesn't. It's not tuned into my particular brain makeup or whatever.
They morphed their sound quite a bit over the years too. Lyle, do you have some band that you just?
It's not bands. It's more genres. I could listen to a lot of different things. I could listen to country music if you're back in the '90s. No big deal.
Mm-hmm.
I could listen to old school rock. I could listen to new school rock.
Mm-hmm.
I could listen to black metal, heavy metal. What I can't listen to is what do you call that? The auto voice,
the auto tune,
auto tune country.
I think we just all agreed on that a couple episodes ago that's like the worst genre. That is definitely that's got to be hands down the worst genre across the board. I think everyone's going to agree with that except people that listen to it, which is a lot of people.
Yeah, it's weird.
Because auto-tune, I hate auto-tune in general for the most part. I mean, sometimes it's been used as a hook or a tweak here and there to decent effect, but at least it kind of plays out a little bit in some of the hip-hop and R&B stuff. But yeah, country was a really strange pairing, auto-tune.
Well,
and
country. have you watched?
Like what I'm getting at too is I like listening to rap too. There's some versions of especially the old '90s. Love it.
Yeah, me too. Wu-Tang especially. I'm a big Wu-Tang.
So for me, Wu-Tang.
Never shared the Wu-Tang.
Have you watched that show on Netflix? I think it's called. Is it called This Is Pop? I think it's called This Is Pop or something like that.
No.
Anyways, I think if you just kind of search for it, like you should be able to find it. It's like something like This Is Pop or something like that, or How the Music Is Made or some shit. But there's an episode on there all about auto-tune and what it is and where it came from and how it got to be what it became and whose fault it was. And it's super fucking fascinating.
Interesting.
And it's mostly revolving around T-Pain. And that guy can actually, it's called This Is Pop. And that guy actually has a voice like a fucking angel. Would you believe it?
Yeah, I've heard it.
But he for whatever reason, he he was looking for something different to like kind of make his sound stand out from everybody else that was doing the same type of rap music.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
he stumbled
I get
across
it.
that, and he was like, I need to find that. But anyways, it's
Well,
super
we-
fascinating. It doesn't make me like it anymore, but like,
But did they talk
it's
about
really
Cher?
interesting.
Because Cher has to have.
yes, they totally did. Yeah, they totally
do
talked
you
about that.
believe? That was
Yep,
the first
they
time I
talked
ever
about
really
that.
heard
They
it.
talked
Like,
about how that was like, yeah, because that was like a big no-no. People were like, "What the fuck are you doing?" Because nobody knew about it. Like auto-tune was being used to like kind of pitch people's voice
It was
better
pitch
and stuff like that,
correction.
kind of
Uh-huh.
correct shit.
And then they just
but nobody
overdid
knew
it.
that was happening until she did that, and they were like, "What the fuck are you doing? You're
You
gonna
can't
expose this.
believe what you hear.
You can't
what you
do that."
hear. Yeah.
And it was like a big scandal in the music industry at the time. But
Cher
you should watch
shared
that
too
episode.
much.
It's really good.
Huh, I'll check that out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say, when we were kids,
yeah,
we
go
used to do it by doing the you thump on your throat while you're talking like this. And you get
Oh
like,
my God.
dude, I am so fucking out of the loop of music. I was
Me too.
listening to George Michael's The Careless Whisper because it's actually a really good
Banging
song.
tune.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
I'm never
Got the
gonna
saxophone.
dance again. Is that the one?
Yeah, never gonna dance again.
Yeah.
It's got the saxophone in it. I didn't even know Seether did a fucking version of that.
That's a
Seether,
good, I've heard that. It's a good tune.
and that's not that bad.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. Well, quickly,
No, you don't.
the rest of the list, you guys got most of it. 11 is Coldplay. Well,
yeah,
I
I can see
think
that.
that's fair. 12 is Green
Oh
Day.
yeah.
yeah.
12 is Green Day. 13 is The Doors. That would have surprised me a couple years ago, but lately I am hearing a lot of people hating on The Doors. It's funny because I'm going through a major Doors phase. I'm pulling out all my Doors records lately.
I guess they're one of those bands that like kind of has a resurgence every fucking 15 years or 20 years or something. Yeah.
Yeah, I suppose. And
Just
when they
briefly.
do, people have to hate on them again, so it makes sense. Here's one that I hear a lot of hate on. I like a couple of their albums. Oasis, coming in at number 16. But they got some catchy damn tunes, man.
Well, that makes sense.
17, Pearl Jam. 18, Rush. 19, Nirvana. 20, kind of out of left field. Spin Doctors. Don't know how they ended up in such high esteem as Bob Dylan, Metallica, and Limp Biz.
Those two songs really hurt people back in the day, I think. So.
And that-
no
how could
kidding.
you-
They really.
I never liked that Little Miss Get Me Wrong, but I kind of liked that. It does get repetitive.
Ahead now.
Yeah, I mean it's catchy enough. But that dude, I remember when I had my my paralyzed vocal cord, and I was reading up on what the fuck is this? Is it ever going to come back? And I read a story about him, and he had to retire from music because he got a paralyzed vocal cord. And I think it was like a year and a half, and then it just started to come back. And he started performing again and wrote a book about it, I think. And it was like every word is a gift, which I can relate to all these years later from my paralyzed vocal cord. And so I have a new respect for the dude. We went through something very, very similar. Fucking nightmare year for me. Just not being able to talk. But came back for him. Anywho, so there's your list, according to Science, of the most hated band of 2020, to be fair. Maybe we'll do a recalculation of this next year and see where we're at. Because some of these do seem a little dated. Who's bothering to talk about U2 one way or the other right now? I mean, let's be honest. Or Kiss, for that matter. Anywho, looking at the clock, we're right on schedule to get into some weird triv. I'd like to get rid of one of these whiskeys and then head right into it.
Sounds good to me.
All right.
Never gonna dance again. The lyrics in general, they're fucking amazing.
Isn't that, that's like Wham, right? That's his old
Pretty much.
Old school
Sure,
shit.
yeah, one half of
It's one
it.
of the first albums one of the first cassettes I ever bought. I tried to buy Kiss, but my dad's a rare day where I was even with my dad, and he took me to a store.
That's the devil's music, son.
Yeah, well, he didn't give a shit, but that was before he found God. But he knew my mom hated it, so he wouldn't let me get a Kiss album. So I got Wham.
Wow.
Little did they know, he's gay. He's from the devil too, you Christian weirdos.
Yeah, he passed away back in 2016 or something.
Yeah. Was it that recent? I thought it was longer than
his lover. He was living in. I'm just reading this off of like one of the videos I watched. He was in London, and his lover, boyfriend or whatever, found him the day before Christmas.
Yeah.
He died.
Was it drugs?
He had heart failure. The same shit I had. Heart failure.
Just a natural thing, or was it connected to?
But also, he just died in his sleep at like 50 something. Sad.
Crazy. Left a fucking legacy, man. Faith.
Truly.
That was that was every fucking where. When we first moved to Wenatchee from Iniat, that was like that's the soundtrack that's burned into my brain as I experienced going from a town where if I would have graduated in Iniat, my entire graduating class would have been 23. Moving from that to a school that had different periods, and you actually had to go to a different room with different students, and there's 35 in each class. That was a shock for an 11-year-old Ronster. So I started smoking. A couple years later, I met Lyle. But Faith and what else? There's another song that was all over the radio at that point.
I Want Your Sex.
Yeah, I Want Your Sex. That was a pretty hot video. When you kids and your porn hubs back in the day, we had to kind of get off on music videos, and they knew it too. They put
music videos.
They put some sexy shit in some of them videos. All right, but should we get on to some weird triv?
All right, yeah. Not only weird triv, but championship round, you guys.
What?
No man.
How did I lose track
Here
of
for
that?
the. I couldn't tell you. Well, we had a guest on for the last episode, and if he had won, we would have had to go one more round. But as it stands, we are championing. That's a fun word to say when you're stoned.
Champion.
You really championed it.
Thank you. Thank you. I really did. Okay, so who we have tonight that you guys are representing. Ronster, you're playing for Cheryl fucking Martin. Bring it home, baby.
Right.
John Mark, you're playing for James Shepard, and he is ready for his prize from you. You did the best job with prizes. I'm sorry, sir. Your last one just killed it. So, Ronster, I assume, will do a nice job of edge.
Sure. We can't know, but sure.
Lyle, you're gonna be playing for Abby Holmes.
Abby.
Okay, you whoever wins tonight's gonna be joining a bunch of. Hello?
You there?
Hello? Sorry, guys. You guys there?
Mhm.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. Okay.
No, we're not here.
I just thought you might have had a stroke. Felt like you stopped mid-breath.
I was so... Don't count it out yet.
Coming up
That's what I'm
next.
trying to say. Previous big winners are all... But then, previous big winners, Stephen Moyers, Jeff Hall, Ron Kompenstein, Sarah Ray Shields, and Bats.
Nice.
All have won championships in the past.
Good list.
Six questions tonight, gentlemen.
2 have received prizes. Jeez.
Okay. 6 questions. We're going to go in traditional order tonight. So, Ronster, you're going to start us off with question 1 here. This famous person was on Jimmy Kimmel Live recently and revealed that Jeff Bezos offered him a seat on the commercial space flight before he offered it to William Shatner. But this person turned it down, citing the $28 million price tag it would have cost them. Who was it? Who got an offer before Shatner? Was it A, Tom Hanks?
Oh, you ain't getting me in space again. We ain't going to have
Been
another
there, done
problem,
that.
Houston.
Was it B, Patrick Stewart?
Oh, that's hilarious.
Captain's log, 6:45.
Okay.
Maybe he related to the bald captain a little more, you know? Was it C,
I would-
Paul McCartney?
Oh, yeah.
Ooh, talk
We
about
got the
fancy.
Beatles in space. It's about time we get a Beatle in space.
Beatles.
Or was it D, Obama?
Yeah, they got that gold record up there and was on Voyager 1 or Voyager 2. And one of the things on it is a Beatles song, if I remember right. Obama, okay.
So again, this person was on Jimmy Kimmel Live recently and revealed that Jeff Bezos offered him a seat on his commercial space flight before he offered it to William Shatner, but he turned it down, citing the $28 million price tag that accompanied it. Who was it? Tom Hanks, Patrick Stew, Paul McCartney, or Obama?
God, I got to think that McCartney can afford a $28 million flight, but the one that I like is, I mean, how can I not go with the other cap? Although, how could you offer it to Next Gen before TOS? Know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. But I'm gonna go with that. The total guess. I have no fucking clue.
Patrick Stewart.
But I love the idea that it would have been down to one of the captains. It makes sense. It also makes it. I'm torn between that and Paul McCartney, but I'm gonna go with Stu.
Okay, I'll put you down for Patrick Stewart here.
Is that really what it costs? Like, is that what Shatner had to pay to get on that fucking thing? Is that what people are paying to get on that thing?
Yeah, I guess it's something to the tune of $28 million.
$28 million.
You probably did a
for a
GoFundMe.
20-minute plane ride.
Send Kirk to space.
It's dark for a while.
But did you see him come off that flight? He was so joyous. Like,
oh yeah,
he was like, the gift you gave me.
Yeah.
And I was just like, holy shit. And he's like, I'm gonna spend the rest of my life fighting for Mother Earth. It was like
all 3
holy
months.
Shit, man.
It was kind of poignant. It was kind of beautiful to see. Like, I mean, he's 91 or 92.
Oh, he's up
92.
And it's like he just went. He got to go to space, and it's kind of a poignant thing that you can be that old and experience something that could be life-changing.
Sure.
Yeah.
John Mark.
I'm torn between Tom Hanks and Obama.
Tom Hanks.
As
These
one
made-up
should
answers
be.
are as good as whatever the truth is. I'm guessing because Tom Hanks is a great one too. Imagine if he had an opportunity to do a Houston, we have a problem.
Jimmy Kimmel.
You said Jimmy Kimmel. I'm trying to think of people who would have had a reason to go on a talk show and promote something recently. I think both Tom Hanks and Obama possibly have. So I'm going to say Obama.
Okay.
I think Tom Hanks could swing 28 mil.
I think they all could. Well, maybe not Obama.
I don't know. Obama, maybe not for something like that, right?
Probably
but
not.
I don't know.
Before
I
we
think
move on,
Obama.
real quick, speaking of Tom Hanks, I just watched this. I did a story in the comment about the history of the typewriter, very brief history on the typewriter. That was fascinating, but I saw an amazing documentary called California Typewriter, starring, among other people, well, John Mayer's in it, actually, but Tom Hanks is in it. And it's just about people who collect and appreciate typewriters, gets into a little bit of the history. Really kooky subject and very well done documentary. It's on... where was it? I think it's on Peacock, actually. But we're checking out.
On what?
Sorry, I didn't do it well. Peacock.
Peacock.
Might be old Captain Stu doing that voiceover now. Think about it.
There's something almost like calligraphy fucking around with the typewriter. I remember
calligraphy.
You know, it's just,
something like that.
You know what I mean? It's so far gone because none of us even fucking talk about it or even think about writing a letter. You know, to somebody.
That's a big part of the documentary, the romance of it.
Yeah, no, I feel it. I feel it. My family threw away theirs typewriter, and I remember getting upset about it.
Watch this documentary. I promise you guys will love it. It's just a cozy, charming, fascinating little documentary. California Typewriter.
So,
okay.
What are you leaning toward, Lyle?
I'm going to lean towards Mr. A.
Mr. A. You got it. Mr. Tom Hanks.
Tom Hanks.
Mr. Right. A. Tom Hanks.
Yeah. Remember when you were a kid and you used to do the little 1 through what A, B, C, and D?
I think that's what it was. Yeah.
We're doing tonight. Poison. We're just guessing.
All right, question 2. Fuck, I love a little weird movie of trivia. It just fucking movie trivia just gets me every time, like random factoids and things about old flicks I love. Here's one for you. This hit movie was expected to completely flop. In fact, the crew would often film in guerrilla style with no permits. So most scenes were filmed in the dead of night, and the cast and crew would try to get the shot done quickly before cops would show up and shut them down. So what movie was this? This hit movie that was expected to flop. They filmed it without permits, illegally at times. What are we talking about? Was it A, Rocky?
Oh,
Hey, Rocky.
I could buy that.
Hey, about tomorrow. Hey, there ain't no tomorrow.
It's the cops. You guys go that way. I'm going to run up the stairs. Keep rolling.
Phil, keep filming.
That's some good training running from the cops.
No doubt. Was it B, Reservoir Dogs?
Interesting.
Was it C, Mad Max?
Oh, yeah. Gritty.
Ooh.
Low budget.
I don't know.
Oh, or was it D, The Terminator?
Open that up.
Boy, that's tough. Well,
Ronster?
I feel like Tarantino has the bravado that he wouldn't think this is going to fail. I feel like Tarantino thinks that he's doing the Lord's work, even from those early days. But that does have a shoot on the fly. So what they all kind of do. Terminator, there's some special effects in there. But when you compare it to the films that came later, it is very low. It's pretty mellow in the special effects, yeah. But, I'm sorry, remind me C. That's what I was leaning toward.
Mad Max.
Yeah. Oh, wait. I'm sorry. Run through them real quick again.
Rocky, Reservoir Dogs, Mad Max, and The Term.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go with Mad Max. That first one. It's funny, to this day, a lot of people still think that Road Warrior was the first Mad Max.
Road Warrior? What are you, the dogs?
Hey, easy there, movie trivia. Now I got to leave that in. I was going to take it out because you did reset it.
You were going to trim it. Yeah,
I was. You gave it a good, clean reset. But now I'm leaving in movie trivia. But that movie is super fucking low budget, or at least it has that feel like it was done by maniacs on the run. So I would believe that they were doing it without permits. But curious what the answer on this one is. Total guess.
Okay, you went with Mad Max C.
Yeah.
John Mark.
I'm gonna go with the Terminator.
Terminator.
With the robots?
With me, if you want to get points.
Oh,
Could have filmed that.
this
in
is
the
a
garage.
tough. You did a good job on getting the
It
fake
is
answers.
tough.
Thanks, man.
Well, because I want to. Mad Max doesn't seem to me like it's feasible. If you're going to do it without permits, they're out in the fucking desert. Nobody's going to give a shit. Like in forest lands, and I'm just saying in general, as a filmmaker, to go out and you're going to need a permit, yet you're sliding past it. You go out to the desert, you do damn near anything out in the desert. You're not going to get probably even harassed. Cities, you're going to get harassed. And this is where, again,
good animal housing.
I'm
Going with Mr. A.
Well, there's we're going with E, baby.
You going with Terminator? What are you doing with it?
Terminator is one of those that could totally fit the bill. There's those bar scenes and the bar fights and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's an urban
need a
movie
permit.
from what I remember.
But they were shot beautifully and blah, blah, blah. Still not feeling it. Reservoir Dogs haven't watched in quite a long time, so I can't even speak for it.
That was his first movie, wasn't it? Was that Tarantino's first?
Reservoir Dogs, yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't know much of it. Rocky seemed to me like it was a low-paced, kind of slow about, but it had its shots, and they were all local, scenes, local scenes out in the public, out in the city.
Famously, yeah.
Yeah, so that makes me think that they shot it without permits.
Okay. Good analyzing, for sure.
This is tough.
Okay, let's move.
I don't remember the last time I saw the original Terminator. It's been so long.
It's good, but I agree, same, agree. I don't know if it holds up. But I loved it when I watched it when I was like 14, I think, or 13. I was like, what the
I was
fuck?
like 9 when I saw that when it first came
Yeah.
on video. That there's a shot where he punches through somebody's stomach. That tormented me when I was a kid.
Oh,
fuck. Yeah. Question 3 is going to be a listener submitted question. So big thank you to Jeff Hall for sending this one over to me. It's going to be worth 2 points, guys. And as usual, if you find a story that is fucking weird, please send it over to me. I really enjoy getting those at christopher.bizarre@gmail.com. Okay. Last year, a gentleman flying into JFK International Airport was busted by border protections for smuggling this into the country by hiding it in their hair curlers. The hair curlers, to be fair, were stored in their luggage, but what did they try to smuggle into the country via their hair curlers? Was it 40,000 ecstasy pills?
Yeah, that'll do it.
Was it 29 live birds? Was it...
Wow.
Was it 4... Yeah. Was it 4 dozen unhatched cobra eggs?
I'm motherfucking sick and tired of these motherfucking snakes on this motherfucking plane.
Or was it D, a collection of various black market body organs? Ba, ba, ba.
In the hair curlers. And like the rollers? The little rollers.
Uh-huh.
Well, the live bird answer is so insane.
Huh.
One
more time, just to recap here. It got busted JFK flying into the country. When they opened up the luggage, they were looking at a series of hair curlers, and inside of them were one of these things. Was it 40,000 ecstasy pills, 29 live birds, 2 turtled, 4 dozen unhatched cobra eggs, or a collection of various black market body organs?
And a
Thanks again, Jeff.
partridge in Yeah, thanks, Jeff. This is tough, and I think I'm about to pull going with the cubed nature thing. I think I'm gonna go with the most insane answer here, because how could you wait? How could you get 20? But it's I gotta go with it. It's such an insane answer. I have to reward your boldness. Sorry, Cheryl, but you've mocked me recently in my abilities on this show. So we'll see. But my reasoning is sound.
Okay, what is it?
Why would you throw such a fucking ass crazy answer in there if it weren't true?
Okay, fair enough.
Fuck it, I'm going with 29 live birds were found in 6 to 8.
Which whiskey, Ron, are we getting tonight?
Possibly the whiskiest that ever whiskied.
I should have thrown a cube thing in there just for good measure. You would have gone with it.
29 cubed-shaped birds. I would have gone with that too.
Cubed birds.
My motto.
29 cube steaks.
Yeah, no. This one I will not live this one down, but I'm going. Yeah, live birds.
Live
I'm glad you did, Ron.
Live birds. It could be babies.
The live birds, I don't know if I think you'd get caught very easily.
Well, they did
like before you
one of a few reasons to not go for that one.
I come at this at 2 different angles. One angle is that Ron Evans, I need you to do this. You need to do for your paintings. You need to do a G.I. Joe themed one with the Cobra Commander. So you could be a Cobra Commander with your Cobra eggs.
I always did love the design of Cobra. He's a cool character.
I think it'd be cool if you could do that on black mat.
Cobra
do black mat, and then do that hot chick. The hot chick.
I'm bad at hot chicks. I'm bad at people.
But... You just make her blend in as shadow. She'll be black and black.
Baroness.
Good with silhouette.
Yeah, the Baroness. She's hot. Just give her some big old fucking aviators, and you'll be good to go.
Okay.
I'm gonna go with the Cobra Commander. eggs. Snake eggs.
Sure makes more
Love
sense
it.
than a couple dozen live birds.
What's I'm thinking? I'm thinking they're just housed inside these little curlers, and they're just like perfectly
Baker's
protected.
dozen.
Cobra
Yeah.
smugglers. Yeah.
Snakes, man. Snakes on a plane.
Mhm.
Snakes are to
So
some people.
I don't know if you got my answer, but I was gonna say the birds as well.
Oh, I did not
shit.
get your answer. I apologize,
Well,
John
that's
Mark. I jumped the
interesting.
gun on that, my friend.
It's okay.
All right. Interesting.
But I'm also gonna
indeed.
say the birds because I don't know. It has a ring of
True.
something.
Very interesting. I feel altogether different with John Mark going on it. Okay.
Okay. I've got another question for us, another fun SpaceX question for you all. It turns out this famous person had actually purchased a ticket for one of the upcoming civilian trips, but decided to ask for a refund because his wife did not think it was a very good family decision. Who was talked out of a space flight by their wife? The A. Ashton Kutcher.
Who's he married to?
You demigod.
Is it still Demi?
Is it Mila Kunis? Oh, it's Mila Kunis. They've been together for like a little while.
Excuse me.
Bless you.
Bless you.
Was it B. Pierce Brosnan?
Yes, Brosnan.
Hmm.
007.
Was he a Bond? Yeah, he was a Bond at one point.
Yeah, that's like what I
You
know
gonna
him
listen
as.
to?
What else?
Gonna listen to what your old lady tells you?
Like
Bond.
to me, he is the Bond.
I agree. I really like Pierce Brosnan. He's probably. I like Daniel Craig's Bond quite a bit too. Okay, was it C. Duff McKagan?
Huh. He does have he's got a good wife. I mean, I'm not saying these other two don't, but
They're trash.
I've actually seen them interacting with each other. They're a good couple.
Or was it? I did cable at his house. Did I ever tell you that? I didn't know who he was.
No.
Or
Oh,
what.
maybe you did.
I walked in at 19. I went into Duff McKagan's house and met his very pregnant superstar supermodel wife.
Yeah.
She led me in to fix the cable, and I walk in, and the first thing I see, I don't know who it is, and the first thing I see is this fucking 20 by 20 painting hung way above the fireplace of Duff McKagan, like in
Oh, that's
fucking
awesome.
leather and like a tiger wrapped around him and shit. And I was like, oh, that's all I could do. I was like, okay.
I think you did tell
Anyways.
that story once, yeah. Well, he's got a house here. I haven't seen him in forever because Guns N' Roses is back together, but
Yeah.
he's got a pretty strong Wenatchee presence. The whole family does.
Cool. Or was it D. Gene Simmons?
Oh, the God of Thunder.
Again, who was talked out of a SpaceX civilian flight? In fact, they made their deposit and everything, and had to get it refunded. Was it Ashton Kutcher, Pierce Brosnan, Duff McKagan, or Gene Simmons?
Good Lord, you've stepped it up for this championship round. I am sorry, Cheryl. I do want to win for you and for myself. I have no fucking clue. I have been so I never see these news stories anyway, but the last 2 months I have not seen anything except my own fucking computer monitor editing. But something, oh God, Gene Simmons, I don't think he's going to listen to what Shannon Tweed tells him to do if he really wants to do it. Duff, there's something ringing true about Duff. I know nothing about the other two people, really. I'm going to go with Duff.
With Duff.
That just
Okay.
seems like she's a good egg, and I feel like he would listen to her. I'm not sure about the other guys. Well, maybe Ashton. He seems like someone who would listen to his wife.
Okay, John Mark.
I'm gonna go with Ashton Kutcher.
I'm gonna put you down for Ashton, John Mark. Lyle.
Well, it kind of rides out like John Mark actually talked about the first question you said about who could actually afford it.
Yeah, it's hard to know what any of these guys are worth. Well, Gene Simmons. Could
Gene
fucking
Simmons
afford
is
it.
a very rich man. He's a very rich man.
I'm sure Duff could.
I don't know. And I don't know about Ashton Kutcher either. But as a family, to me, the way I look at it is like, no big deal. Let's go. and then your wife going, "Fuck that! That's your kids' fucking college fund," or something like you put your kid through college with that.
Yeah.
Pocket change because you got so much fucking money. That's the flex I see. But fuck, I want to go Gene or I want to go fucking 007 himself. We're going 007 himself.
There's Brosnan. Okay.
Doom 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 doom.
Okay. Question 5. This famous person made headlines last year when they were gifted a bottle of fine scotch by an adoring fan. Now, the celebrity in question hoisted the bottle up and told the crowd that had gathered that this was their own personal holy water, in reference to the scotch. Who made the statement? And he was in the news. Who was it? Was it Bill Clinton?
My own personal holy water.
Yeah, I did not have.
Can you try to do every one of these? Okay, it'd be great.
Okay, I'll try.
Was it B, Dolly Parton?
Come
on, don't stop now.
Dolly Parton. How would I even try to?
Happy up, jazzy.
That's my Dolly Parton. Otherwise known as the Pillsbury Doughboy.
Wow.
Wouldn't even know how to do it.
Okay. All right, try this one. Was it C, jugs? Bill Nye?
Bill Nye. Bill Nye. I don't know his voice well enough. Science. See, I went a little Doc Brown. Great Scott, Marty, science. Yeah. With a dash of Sasquatch.
Or was it D, the Pope?
Now, see, you knew where these names were going, and you wanted me to imitate Dolly Parton, Bill Nye, the science guy, and the Pope. 3 of our most lampooned voices.
You got 1 of 4.
Yeah, one of them is always lampooned.
We all have off nights, Ronster. It's okay, buddy. It's all right, man.
The Pope.
Again, this person held up a bottle of fine scotch that was gifted to them and said, "This is my own personal holy water." Who made this statement? Was it Bill Clinton, Dolly Parton, Bill Nye, or the Pope?
Well, I don't think that as jiggy as this Pope has gotten, I'd be really surprised if he was claiming that. That'd be controversial. Although it did make the news. Holy water scotch. Dolly Parton, say what you will about my impersonation. She does have a brash and sassy attitude. Clinton. What was the third impression about? Oh, Bill Nye. Yeah, fuck. Again, total fucking gas. I'm going to go Dolly Parton. Okay. And do pardon my Pillsbury's Doughboy impression.
Good, Ron. It took me there.
Ding, 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 ding. Someone should do a mashup of that. Song number 2 and the Pillsbury Doughboy.
Funny. Oh, fuck. John Mark.
Well, I feel like Bill Clinton has some health problems, so I don't know if he's allowed to drink scotch. I'm not sure about Dolly's teetotaling or otherwise status.
Yeah, but Bill Clinton has the classic alcoholic face, doesn't he?
Don't think that the Pope would be into that. I'm going to go with Bill Nye because it seems like something a sciencey guy would say.
Interesting.
Good thinking.
Very interesting choice, John Mark. Spy. Okay.
Great Scott. Great Scotch.
No.
I did not go with that to begin with. Great Scotch, Marty. Somebody get Doc Brown to endorse their great Scotch.
Oh God.
Speaking of Scotch, mine's kicking in.
Have him in a smoking jacket, and he's just like, "Great Scotch," and he's like, then it pans to him in a smoking jacket, and he goes, "No, it really is great Scotch."
I always admired that smoking jacket. It looked so silky and
I don't want to point a finger and saying that just because she sings country music, she's an alcoholic and kicks her dog. But I'm gonna say
You just did.
Dog
she's an
kicking
alcoholic
drums.
and kicks her dog.
All right, Lyle, I'll put you down for Dolly.
I'm gonna go with Dolly. I think Dolly
All right.
is a wonderful lady. I think even growing up in the 80s and
she's
stuff like
very
that,
lovable.
she is a gem.
Yeah.
She's our gem to share. But I just look at her in the sense of like hee haw.
Did you say she's our
And, like,
gem to share?
She is our gem.
All right.
All right.
She's not gonna be around much longer. She's up there in her
getting up
age,
That's true.
and she's still
True.
gorgeous. Jesus, rhinestone dresses and all that stuff. I think she's a partier. I think she would drink you under the table. All of us, I bet.
I just looked it up. She's 75. Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Man.
Above the
All right.
average life expectancy.
She reminds me of like the hee haw days back in the 80s.
Yeah.
Watching hee haw,
Mm-hmm.
and I was on it. She would sing, do all her things. But like that type of person, is extinct these days.
Hee-haw.
Yeah.
You could see that reboot with auto-tune.
Yeah, right.
What is average life expectancy? I thought
It's still 72.
be like 70.
Hasn't changed for a while,
72.
and I think they expect it to stay there for a while, 72. But, God, people blast past it all the time.
Yeah. Okay. We're gonna move on to our final question of this championship, and then see what happened. I really have no idea who's won. I think it's close. It's a close game. So let's see. Let's see where we go with this last one here. Okay, back in 2019, a 3-year-old boy got lost in the woods for 3 days in North Carolina. On the third day of his disappearance, he was found a half-mile from his home in some bushes by a hiker. Now, the boy survived 3 days outside, not really wearing like very good like a good jacket, and the weather had dipped down to like in the low 20s in the evening. So it was really kind of miraculous he came out of this all right. Now, strangely, when he was interviewed by rescuers and beyond, he claimed that for 2 days while he was missing of the 3, for 2 days he was not alone. He hung out with this. Was with him in the forest. Was it a clown?
We all float down here,
Oh,
Georgie.
dear. That's good, Lyle. Yeah. Do you want to hang out with the forest clown? Forest clown sounds like a mushroom that you may or may not want to pick.
Was it B, a bear?
Hey, boo boo, let's go snack. Some
A
picking up
bear.
Uh-huh.
Okay. I'd rather hang out with the bear than a fucking forest clown.
Was it a Sasquatch?
Yeah, knew that was coming.
Oh, that's cool.
You knew, did you? Okay. Or was it an alien?
Did not see that one coming. Okay.
Again, still kind of a miracle he survived. Well, he was not alone, though, he says. He had a friend. Who was it? A clown, a bear, a Sasquatch, or an alien? Ronster, seal the deal in this championship round.
Well, I hate to go with what on some pages would look like the mundane answer, bear. And yet, if you eliminate the other 3, hanging out with a bear in the woods is not mundane at all. I'm gonna go with that. He had a bear friend. I've heard of these types of tales.
For you know, for the one that garnished the biggest laugh from you, like that's the dumbest shit I've ever heard.
No, it was your.
Like then I didn't hear the other 2 though.
It was your presentation, which I'll probably make as the stinger. A bear. Just like it really punched through. Yeah, they're all good stories, but
Yeah.
that's the most believable to me.
All right. Okay.
But just barely.
Just barley.
Thank you.
Bearing with you right now. Okay. John Mark.
Well, let's just take a pause here.
Oh, here we
Shall
go.
we?
Here
Yes.
we go.
For
I'll light up a
second.
joint. I'll light up a joint.
See what I did there?
Is there going to
Oh,
be a clause
I
somewhere
see.
in this?
Yeah. Oh,
Yes.
no.
You tried
So if you think about it, like on the like you were saying, like when you first hear a bear, it's like, well, sure, that might seem like, like, well, it's in the forest and a bear. But if you really think about it, like that's kind of one of the weirder answers in that group, right? It's like,
suppose.
because if that was real, then what the fuck? And I think so. The realness of the possibility of a little kid being in the forest for 2 days with a bar is just quite bizarre to me. So I'm going to go with that one too.
Well, we've seen.
You
I
go
mean,
with
look at all
bar.
these stories where kids fall into a zoo pen and there's like lions or some shit, and they just like, if it's a kid, they'll like protect it.
New cub,
Like
yeah.
they'll like,
Mhm.
not necessarily so if it's an adult. You see those stories
Also,
every now and
probably,
again.
I imagine the vibe of a child is a lot less threatening than the vibe of a grown adult to an
Yeah.
animal, right? Like they're less, maybe they're even less scared. Like, oh, hi, bear, and the bear's like, oh, okay, this kid's not a predator, obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good way to think of it for sure. Okay, Lyle.
But it's a tasty snack.
Yeah, no kidding.
Chicken
That's
nuggets.
where I
Little
was
honey
gonna-
pot.
Bear would see a little kid like that as a snack, I would think.
In certain circumstances.
Dinner.
Yeah. By the way, children, do not test this. We really.
Yeah.
I know there are a lot of little kids listening in. You got to be careful.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, Lyle, what
Oh,
are you
God.
waiting for? Okay, last
What was the name of that?
No.
What was the name of the what?
I was trying to remember the last episode, that stupid ass story. You know where Bell Canyon is?
Oh, yeah.
God damn.
You want to get to Bill's
That guy.
Canyon? I had a few people tell me that story really bothered them. The voice really brought it home. It was a fun episode.
Well, speaking of that, then, I was looking at actually one of the episodes I was going to bring tonight about St. Helens and Bigfoot tracks that was found up in Mount St. Helens, locally here in Washington State. And I got to go with the safest. I mean, it seems to me like if you read any of those 411 books, that you may be shiftedly thinking that maybe it's just Bigfoots that are saving kids out there in the woods.
Well, Tintin
So,
would have you
what are you
believe
going
that
with?
would happen if you broke your leg.
Mm-hmm.
The Yeti, anyway. Yeah, where are you
That
going?
was right. The
Are you going with
abominable
Bigfoot?
snowman.
Yeah, I'm going with Bigfoot.
Abominable.
Boy, this is an interesting game. I'm dying to see where this goes, score-wise.
Right, let me do some quick tallying, and then we'll go over the
It's a bit
answers
all over the
here.
Abominable.
Tilly
Abominable
tally.
ball. That you talked about that might have been the very first episode that you talked about that issue of Tintin, John Mark. When we were talking about Bigfoot, and like
Long time ago.
and then you loaned me, lent or loaned? You lent me.
Loaned?
Lent.
I think loaned.
And
I
then
borrowed you.
You borrowed me those books. Good shit. They're fun to read.
Yeah, my favorite. They still hold up too.
Well, yeah. Just adventure stories, wackiness, a thunder and blistering barnacles.
Billions of blue blistering barnacles.
Good shit.
All right, I need just a quick moment more, you guys.
And a
we can
thundering
move on
typhoon.
to this.
Did you see the Tintin movie, John Mark?
I did.
How
Yeah.
was it?
It's pretty good, actually. I
Hello.
was actually impressed. It's worth a watch if you have never been interested in Tintin at all.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
Hello,
Sounds like
hello.
he didn't find Bell's Canyon.
Okay. Let's go. Oh, no. Okay, let's go over the answers here and see how we did, as we still have to move on to Record Club. Okay. I got cut off. Okay. Question one. Recently on Jimmy Kimmel Live, It was revealed that Jeff Bezos had offered a seat on his commercial space flight to someone else before he offered it to William Shatner, and it was turned down, citing the $28 million price tag that was associated with it. We were talking about Tom Hanks.
No.
It was Tom Hanks got the first offer.
Sure,
and
we have a
that's
problem.
what he said on the thing.
Mr.
And
A.
he's like, he said to Jimmy, he's like, Jimmy, I'm doing pretty good. I ain't doing $28 million to go to space good.
Right.
I don't know if that's accurate.
I'm
Let's
sure
look up Tom
you're right.
Hanks' net worth while you're
Net
finishing.
worth, I'm sure.
These
Probably
aren't,
just
these
like,
aren't usually accurate.
I could
though.
spend that, but I don't want to.
I wouldn't want it. That's way too much money.
Four,
If he did,
if he
400
started-
million. His net worth is 400 million, according to Google. Again,
Yeah.
these aren't necessarily accurate. I hear all the time that they aren't, but they got to be somewhere in the ballpark. 400 million. He's
Probably
half a
not
billionaire.
like fucking cash in hand type fucking.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, but I
Yeah.
mean, what's 400 million minus 28?
Yeah, but, like,
Fair enough.
A production company he had to sell or something.
That would only
Yeah.
leave him with a measly 375,000.
How dare you?
mil.
isn't it more reasonable that you spend 20 minutes in space and it costs you maybe $1 million?
$1 million a minute, folks.
Nuts.
Is that really
Yeah, it's
what
crazy.
the
They cut
fucking
that.
price tag is? That's insane.
That's what he said on Jimmy
maybe that's
Jimmy
what
Kim.
maybe that's what it was then. And
Yeah,
Anyway.
I'm sure it's going to come down drastically. To be among the first, I'm sure it was
Yeah, for
'cause that was
sure.
like the first one, so I'm sure it was be the first. So, anyways, yeah, Lyle starting off strong, looking good for Abby. I like this. Okay, question 2. This movie was expected to completely flop, and in fact, the crew would often film it guerrilla style with no permits. Most scenes were filmed in the dead of night, and the cast and crew would quickly try to get the shot done before the cops would show up and shut them down. We're talking about the Terminator.
damn.
Fuck.
Isn't that nuts?
Yeah,
Now
things
that
aren't
you
looking
just
great.
said that,
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Well, most of
John
those
Mark
dark-
got that for a point,
Well, there's no.
which means he's tied with Lyle. It's 4 more questions.
Tough,
Anything's
gonna
possible.
be tough.
And-
By the way, I
and
looked it
get-
up. It went up. It's now 55 million to go into space.
Oh, fuck off.
Yeah.
Get fucked.
Well, that's SpaceX. I guess they. What's the Bezos one?
Blue Origin.
Finish where you were, Chris. I'm sorry, and then I'll look this up.
It's okay. Question 3 was a listener submitted question. Thanks again, Jeff, for sending this over to me. Never stop sending me stories, sir. It's going to be worth 2 points. Last year, a gentleman flying into JFK International Airport was busted by border protections for smuggling roughly 29 live birds into
Wow.
the country.
Oh, I'd be celebrating if John Mark didn't pick it too, but holy shit.
Here, I got a photo. I'll just send it over
I
text
did
message
not
to you.
see the story, so I was totally.
Yeah, pretty
I don't know
good
how you-
there.
I think you're getting away with it because they're going to be squawking.
Yeah, no shit, right?
Oh, this
I
does
can't
make
really,
sense. There's one per roll.
I
I
could
don't
not
think
really
I
find.
saw this story either, but I've heard other weird shit that people have smuggled, like birds and stuff, like that you would like. How did that even work? But they try it, you know.
Damn.
That's the main reason why I picked the eggs, the snake
Poor
eggs,
little
because
guys.
they're like,
They're just like, what the
there's nothing
fuck?
to hear, you know?
Yeah, they're just all tucked in.
Okay.
20 million
So
per
Ron and
ticket for Blue Origin.
Oh. Okay, yeah, so it's probably gone down
It's
from the
cheaper.
initial. Ron and John Mark got that correct for 2 points a pop. Which means
Damn,
that John
2
Mark
to
has 3
4.
points for.
No. Oh, yeah. Lyle got the first one right.
Yeah. Okay. Question 4 was another SpaceX question. It turns out this person had actually purchased, put the down payment on one of these. I didn't get whether it was SpaceX or Blue Origin, but for one of these civilian flights, they paid the deposit and their wife talked them out of it. We're talking about Ashton Kutcher.
Oh, no, now I'm in trouble.
Yeah, me looking this dude. Yeah, you might be in trouble
I was
now.
in trouble.
Let's see.
I could see
so-
Ashton. I mean, how rich could Ashton be?
Ashton?
I could see an ass ton of arguments there.
Yeah, that was way better than Movia, whatever I said. Lordy,
He's got all that
Movie
sweet
trivia.
70s show money,
Movia trivia,
Yeah,
baby.
but how much money could that have gotten him?
all that sweet dude. Where's my car money?
I'm looking at There's fuck me money, and then there's fuck you money, and then there's dude, where's my car money?
That sweet Demi Moore dowry he was rocking from Bruce Willis.
Well, here we go. It looks like 150 fucking million. Where did he make all that money? Because that's twice as what Duff is worth.
Wow, that's nuts.
I think he does a lot of shit like behind the scenes, like production and stuff like that.
He's probably one of those guys that does whiskey
company.
commercials over in Japan every year.
Maybe,
yeah. Like one of these, like Brad Pitt did a lot of that. Even when we weren't seeing him in a lot of movies, he was over there doing these foreign campaigns and tens of millions of dollars in each one of those things. So yeah.
Okay, question 5. This person made headlines last year when they were gifted a bottle of fine scotch from someone, and they hoisted it up and said, "This is my own personal holy water." I actually have a photo of when this happened, and yeah, it's kind of surprising. Hence the headlines.
Can't be the fucking Pope.
The Pope.
It's the fucking Pope.
I know, and they had the Vatican had to come out and make this big ass statement like, this was in jest. He's it's not, don't fucking take this seriously. Yeah. I mean, he is looking at it kind of adoringly, like old demons.
Get behind me,
Nobody got that correct.
Or down my gullet.
Well, I would not. I obviously would not have guessed that.
Yeah,
as he did not.
Little stumped.
Okay. Question 6. Back in 2019, a 3-year-old boy got lost in the woods for 3 days in North Carolina. On the 3rd day of his disappearance, he was found a half-mile from his home in some bushes by a hiker. The boy survived nearly 3 days outside, despite not really having any protective clothing that would help him in the temperatures that reached down to the low 20s. Strangely, when he was interviewed by rescuers, he claimed over and over again that for 2 days he was not alone, that he was accompanied by a bear. Couldn't shake that one on you guys. Well done. Ron and John Mark got that correct. Which does make John Mark our winner tonight.
Back on top.
John Mark ran away with it.
Who's
5 points.
the real winner here?
Yeah,
James,
who was he playing?
Motherfucker
Shepard. Right.
Nice.
Good friend of mine. James, please get me or just shoot it over to the Space Pod Facebook, and John Mark is. Do you have are you able to talk about the prize, John Mark? Have you?
So I'm thinking that James sends us a message to our Facebook page and just gives us like 3 to 5 things that he's into, that he's interested in, like maybe like what kind of music you like, what kind of whatever, just 3 to 5 things.
I think
that's funny. Is James used to come see my punk rock band way back in the day. I'm like maybe I'm a little older than James, but he used to come to my shows when I was in a band called Brody when he was real young, and I was like 19, 20, so I had no memory of ever interacting with him. It's funny to me.
Also a Bloody Oranges fan, as I mentioned last time.
Yeah, totally.
Was at Lollapalooza. Came over for that. It was really nice.
Yeah, that was a really fun night.
All right,
Anyways.
well. Congratulations, John Mark and James.
Yeah.
Nothing to complain about there. John Mark just fucking whipped it out, slapped us across the face with it. Really fucking tough. That was a tough round for me.
Yeah.
Clearly.
Yeah, it was good though. I thought, it's funny is I had forgotten that John Mark actually got the daily dub or the Florida dubs, not Florida listener submitted dubs.
Yeah.
Listener dubs.
And,
ding, 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 ding.
Listener dub, thank you. Oh man, it brings me back. And I thought it was a tie, so I was like prepping a good fucking tiebreaker and everything. I'm really bummed out I miscalculated. You guys want to do a tiebreaker just for fun real fast?
Yeah, just to make me feel better.
Sure.
And whoever wins, wins.
Real. Okay, great. In the original Alien film, how many alien eggs were made for the egg chamber inside the down spacecraft? How many of them were in there made for that scene?
Should we text you here?
Just shout them out. This is unofficial. You can shout them out, and I'll just say whoever gets it closest is going to win.
I'm going to say 70.
There's 162.
One at a time.
Go ahead, Lyle. I was going to say 70.
162.
162, okay. Ron says 70.
I'm gonna go with 10.
Oh, wow, very interesting. The answer was 130.
Oh, Lyle,
130 of them. So Lyle. Yeah. Hold on. Okay.
I was thinking,
Well, good job,
they
guys.
just make a couple of them and then like use movie magic to make it look like there was a
they
shitload.
did so
right?
much of that on that movie too. Yeah, with smoke and
sure.
literally with smoke and mirrors. That was the film for smoke and mirrors.
If you see it, like, and I get special effects were kind of coming in at that point, but there's a couple of really nice pan sequences where you just see a ton of those jars.
Yeah.
And you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
As they're walking in towards the thing, you can really see them and they pull back. Can we take another quick one? Just a quick break?
Sure. Yeah.
All right, then I'm ready for this.
Yeah, and this will go quick. Well, so we got a handful of these. We narrowed it down to 3. We're going to try. We got one text and a couple of clips to play. So first off was Abby. Now I think for the most part they were playing along with the first theme of albums that changed your life, but basically they're just albums that they really want to recommend. Here's one from Abby, who we just played for. As you know, music is my thing, so choosing one single album that changed my life is like counting how many stars are in the sky. I could go on forever. I thought a lot about what I would go with. Something from high school, maybe some disco or prog or classic rock, stuff from the 70s, 80s, 90s, or something more modern, indie or pop, because all these options would be equally fitting as something that changed my life at some point in time for any number of reasons. But a choice had to be made, and my choice for your record club is Timber. I never know how to pronounce this word. It's timber.
I think
as
it's
in
timbre,
wood.
timbre.
It's timber.
Timbre.
Well,
I believe because
it's both words are timbre,
like
timbre. Well, the first word
timbre. I believe
is timber.
Isn't it spelled the same way?
No.
Isn't it the same word both times?
No, it's timber as in wood, and then timbre as in timbre.
Let me look this up.
So I think it's timbre, but the word timbre, I even looked it up earlier. I was like, how do you pronounce that? And the internet is just as confused. Sometimes it's timbre. Sometimes in the UK, I guess they say timbre or timbre. Over here, I hear it as timber a lot.
Timbre.
So I think it's timbre.
Yeah, that sounds right.
So I'm going to start again. I'm going to leave that in, though, because it is confusing. My choice for your record club is Timbre's self-titled album from 2009. The reason I'm picking this one is because when I first heard Timbre, I felt truly seen. It's a good way to describe why you fell in love with a band or an album, isn't it? I felt truly seen.
Yeah, no kidding.
It's spooky and gloomy, but ornately beautiful, like a black rose glistening with dew on a foggy morning.
Oh, that's beautiful, Abby.
Listening to Timbre is like shambling down a dark, haunted hallway while wearing your coziest sweater. I love how poetic she's got here. This is the perfect album to play while thinking about death. It will move you and soothe you, not just to the bone, but to the soul. I am many kinds of people, but the side of me always wants to return to, that is truest to who I am, is the macabre side. Even from a very young age, and Timbre captures this in a way I had never really heard before. There is so much to be said for feeling understood and finding things to relate to, and this is a side of me that for most of my life people rarely related to. So that is why discovering this album was such a pivotal moment for me. From Demon Host at track 1 to No Bold Villain at track 8, songwriter Taylor Kirk weaves folksy yarns of ectoplasmic tendrils. You know, you should send this to Timbre because if they don't use it as part of their press kit, they'd be crazy. She goes on to say, standouts for me have always been Lay Down in the Tall Grass with its evocative lyrics setting the creepy scene. Until the Night is Over sounding like a ghostly promenade. I guess it's promenade. And Trouble Comes Knocking, coming in with some deep blues riffs. This may not be everybody's jam, but that's what makes it special. Well, thank you so much, Abby, for that well-written and clearly well thought out. This is exactly what we wanted.
Yeah, for sure.
It didn't have to be long and rambling, but you exactly explained to me why you fell in love with this album. I will just quickly say I am familiar with this band specifically because of Abby. She either put this on we used to exchange mixed CDs back in the day quite a bit. And impeccable taste, that Abby Holmes, and turned me on to a lot of shit. And this is one of them. I like this band. She described it perfectly. I've played it for a few people, and it is, she's right, it is kind of a hard band to turn people on to, but I don't understand that because it is pretty, it's haunting, and it's very accessible music. It's not like some sort of experimental thing, but it does give you this sort of feeling of darkness and coldness, but in a cozy way. So that is option number one. Now, if we didn't explain this on the show, we've talked about this in our text group. We're going to discuss all three of these finalists' entries, if you will, and on the show, we're going to pick which one we're going to go after. So now I'm going to move on to the other two we have are audio entries, and we're going to start with our Ben, who is going to share his life-changing album. So give it a listen.
Hi, guys. It's your Ben. I have an album that, for the submission, that I wish I had more time to do research on how the album itself was put together, but here goes. This album was one of the most influential albums of my life. It's something that broadened my music perspective and introduced me to genres that I really hadn't explored, and yet it was an artist I had been listening to pretty much my entire life. This is the Jimi Hendrix Blues album. It is available through Amazon Prime, and I'm sure plenty of other sources as well. So I grew up more or less as a classic rock kid. I was riding around in my dad's Suzuki Samurai, singing Clapton's cover of J.J. Cale's Cocaine, not having a clue what I was singing about. I was really lucky. My dad was actually a record sales rep for ABC Records back in the day throughout Puget Sound and Western Washington. So his vinyl collection was massive. And so I had a lot of fun going through that. And in fact, it was something that was actually much later on that I found in a book about Jimi Hendrix. Was my dad actually went to Leschi Elementary School with Jimi. My dad's actually the fat little Jewish kid standing 2 away from Jimi, and in a couple of the books about Jimi Hendrix's life. So, as I said, I grew up with classic rock. I mean, granted, I was part of the Kiss Army as a kid and, was really just into the rock stuff. And then I got this album later on, and the blues aspect just broadened my perspective on rock and really got me into going into its origins. And so I started listening to other artists, digging things out of my dad's vinyl collection. Buddy Miles, of course, who was the drummer on some of Jimi Hendrix's stuff, but more into John Lee Hooker, Muddy Waters, Howlin' Wolf. And so there's so much to this album. There's individual tracks that are just speak to me. I actually have a separate album that is pretty much just Jimi and his guitar recording into a reel-to-reel in his apartment. You hear the phone ring in the background. You hear him turn the music pages. So this is a lot more, collected songs of his that are in the blues genre. And it's something that, like I said, it really broadened my horizons. And, from blues, I got into jazz, and in jazz into funk. And, that's probably my favorite genre these days is that. So I hope you guys get a chance to listen. I hope the audience takes a turn too. And, maybe you knew Jimmy's, most, albums he put out in his lifetime or some of the more popular tracks. But when you get to listen to the blues, and especially on a gray, rainy day in Seattle, it just sets the mood for me. And like I said, it really broadened my perspective on music. So in fact, I don't live too far from where Jimmy's buried. I haven't taken the kids there yet, but they're a little young. So, all right, Ron, make me sound good, and talk to you guys later. Thanks.
Yes. Now he can't.
That's what I do,
Loud
Ben.
and
Just
free.
ask Chris. Always.
Yes,
No,
yes.
he's right.
You sound fabulous.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jimmy's A lot of people called him God back in the early days of the 80s and whatnot. And it's just he is. I mean, it's he was self-taught. If you try to follow, any of his music, it's just like you stopped halfway and you got to step back. It's like, what the heck?
It's also hard to not take Jimi Hendrix for granted at this point, but when you take it into consideration, the time that it came out, that whole band, the Jimi Hendrix Experience, Mitch Mitchell, and he mentioned Buddy Miles. I think he mentioned Buddy Miles. But that original Jimi Hendrix Experience band was so fucking innovative and ahead of its time in so many ways that it probably sounded like music from Mars. And the fact that it became popular music is pretty amazing, even in the craziness that was the psychedelic 60s. But I got to be honest, as big of a Jimi Hendrix fan as I am and as many albums as I've heard, I have not heard the Jimi Hendrix Blues album. How about you guys? Have you guys heard that album?
No, I actually have very little Jimi Hendrix exposure at all. So
I have not heard that album either.
Yeah.
I don't think.
Well, thank you so much, Ben. Great entry, and you were in the running. Let's end it with Katie Surgery Jeff.
Now, before you do this, I want to say, I've been So, and I had a moment today, trying to think about how to tell this story to you guys, where I was counting how many years ago this was, and I was rocked by how many years ago this was. But we're coming up on like 19 years ago. It was right when I got an iPod, and it was when Katie and I were very close, and I took all of her CDs and burned them to my computer. So I had this I was just trying to get every CD I can get my hands on to start digitally storing my music. And so there was a lot of shit I got from her that I was never exposed to. And even after she was out of my life, I started to discover these MP3s that I'd ripped from her shit. And some of my favorite CDs came from this collection. Like, to this day, some of my favorite music. So I was racking my brain. She had sent me this voice message. I did not listen to it. I forwarded it right to Ron because I wanted to be surprised here. But I've been racking my brain trying to think of what album this might be. Can I make two guesses? And well, I have no idea. I'm going to guess either Death Cab for Cutie's Transatlanticism or sorry, I had this on the tip of my brain and now it's gone. Jimmy Eat World's Clarity. I think it might be one of those two, but I don't know. Anyways, continue on. Let's see how it plays out.
Let's see how it plays out. And it's funny, listening to you describe that was exactly my relationship with Leah when we first started dating. Was most of her music collection, not all of it, but most of it came from her brother Alex, who was obsessively just downloading like everything. And so when I started dating Leah, it was like, this was in when burning CDs was still a thing. In fact, this was when cars first started putting in MP3 readable CD players. So you could, I know this sounds antiquated at this point, but the fact that you could put like 20 albums, 30 albums on one CD was even
That's right.
new.
I remember.
And so I went crazy. I just started downloading everything. And it's a very similar thing. I come across those CDs every now and again, and I pop them into my one CD player that I own at this point. And there's still a ton of shit on there that I hadn't heard. And so let's see how that plays out. You guessed Jimmy Eat World and Death Cab. Let's see where she takes us.
Hey guys, this is Katie Surgeff, or Katie Surgery Jeff if you're nasty, weighing in with my pick for album that has changed my life. For the album I have chosen, I didn't pick something that has influenced like my other tastes in music or anything like that. I have chosen an album that really resonated for me during a period of time in my life. And for that, I have chosen the album The Devil and God Are Raging Inside of Me by the band Brand New.
Yes.
This album came out in 2006. It was their third studio album. The first two sound completely different. They have a more pop punky kind of vibe. Lyrics are kind of fun and pop culture reference based, whereas the lyrics on The Devil and God Are Raging Inside of Me are very dark. The themes tend to focus more on death, illness, loss of religion, suicide, and drunk driving. The one that kind of stands out for me the most is going to be drunk driving due to the period of my life when this album came out. So I had moved to Minnesota in 2007 for a man, which was very stupid of me. I've later learned, but hey, you live and learn. Anyway, once I arrived in Minnesota, it was actually the night I arrived in Minnesota, he decided he wanted to come surprise me at my sister's house, which was about an hour from where he was living at the time. And he was wasted, and he decided to make that drive anyway. And he had already had 2 other DUIs. This one became his third. In this instance, he did decide he wanted to try to outrun the cops. And once he crashed into a parked car, they ripped him out of the car, tased him many times, and his ass spent some time in jail. During that time, I had no contact with him. I had just arrived. I had no idea where he was. So I just moved across the country to be ghosted. So I went on with my life. I started school, and eventually I heard what had happened from a friend of a friend. And, I was just heartbroken that he was so stupid to do something like that. I'm a person, I enjoy alcohol. I like to party. I've been known to binge drink at times, but I don't have that dependency on alcohol. So it's kind of hard for me to understand alcoholism because I can stop when I want to stop, but I guess some people just don't have that ability. Anyway, once he got out of prison, he came back into my life for better or worse. We had a very tumultuous on-again, off-again relationship. He had proposed to me twice. I declined twice. And eventually I knew I needed to get out of Minnesota. So anyway, going back to the album. So the album, The Devil and God Were Raging Inside of Me, came out in 2006. I had moved in 2007. During this period of time, I was listening to this album constantly, front to back all the time, never, ever back to front. But listening to those albums, or to the songs, especially the ones dealing with drunk driving, I'm specifically talking about the song called Limousine here, which is about a drunk driving incident in the hometown of the band Brand New, in which the drunk driver crashed into a limousine and killing a small girl who had been a bridesmaid, or not a bridesmaid, a flower girl in a wedding just that same day. And listening to that after hearing what this terrible boyfriend did, it just made me so angry, and it became a place for me to channel my anger and my upset over what had happened between him and I, because it made me think bigger than that. It made me think this is something that he could have done. And ultimately, I feel this album was something I really needed during that period of my time, as a place to channel my anger and rage, but also as a place to see that I can let it go and I don't need him. So that's my pick for album that has changed my life for better or worse. I feel like I am definitely in a better place now that I left Minnesota. I found a good man with a strange Russian name, got married, bought a house, have some dogs and some chickens, and I still enjoy the band Brand New. So thanks, guys. Bye.
Wow.
That was incredible. I did not know a lot of that, so yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Katie, obviously for sharing your personal story. And I have no idea about this band. I looked it up.
Wow.
I've never even heard of it. I looked it up, and on the cover is a little girl. So I'm wondering if that's like a reference, and then like a couple of adults, like in kind of like cheesy Grim Reaper-y sort of garb. So I'm guessing that's like a reference to the little girl that was killed, maybe, who knows. But interesting it's interesting how music can come into your life at the right time. Like, I guess like any other good art, sometimes you just need it to be the right time to really get it on those next levels. And oftentimes on levels that the artist could never in a million years have even anticipated, like, both putting into the art or you needing to get it out of that art. That's the amazing thing about music, about writing, movies, and of course, like a painting, any kind of art, you get out of it what you need to get out of it. Sort of like a multivitamin, you know. You take what your body needs from it. So really interesting story. Now, it seems like Christopher knows this band and knows this album. I'm gonna guess that the rest of us don't. Is that
no.
accurate?
Yeah.
John Mark, you familiar with this band or this album?
I'm passingly familiar with the name, but musically, no.
Okay. So here are our choices: Timber Timber, Jimi Hendrix the Blues Album, or this one. I'm just gonna say my vote is this one, because even though I haven't heard the Hendrix album, I've heard a lot of Jimi Hendrix. I know nothing about this album, and I'm curious, especially with that backstory. But these are all good picks. So I'm curious what you guys are leaning toward. Let's figure out which one we're going to go with. And here's what I suggest. I suggest that we listen to all three of these albums. We can give a mini review of each of the ones that we don't choose, right? Like, we can listen to it and say, here's what I thought. A couple sentences that maybe get a little bit more deep in the one we pick. You think that's fair?
Sure.
So what say you?
Anyone else? Me? Okay. You went with the Jimi Hendrix?
No, I'm going to pick this one. The Devil and the God Are Raging Inside Me.
Oh, okay. Well, then I'm not going to feel guilty picking that one as well, because this is a top 5 band for me and a top 10 album of all times. I'm very fond of this band, and there's again, I fell in love way late to the story with them, but she's absolutely right. This was a band that started super pop punk and was great, because that was my wheelhouse then. But as I aged, so did my taste a little bit, and they found something so special. I've seen them live. They have 2 drummers that almost perform in tandem. I never noticed like a difference in. I'm sure it's there, but they perform in tandem at the same time, and it's mesmerizing. But anyways, sorry. Yeah, so I'm gonna say that. But I'm stoked to listen to all 3, because I was gonna listen to all 3 regardless, and I can't wait to give.
Yeah.
Cause I'll probably have more to say about this one, because I've never listened to the other 2.
Sure.
But this album is wonderful. It's really, really well picked.
Okay. Lyle, where are you leaning?
Yeah, I was going to suggest that we listen to all 3, just because it's only 3 albums, man. You could do that in your sleep.
Yeah, absolutely.
Honestly, so.
And if you want to weigh in more on one than the other, I think it'll all balance out. You know, why not?
Yeah, the one I wanted to vote for was Abby's, and not because I lost the game for her, but it sounds
doesn't hurt.
It just sounds killer, So
yeah, I'm curious.
Yeah,
I would be curious to what you guys think about Timber Timbre. John Mark, what you leaning?
I was leaning towards the Tim because I just like what Abby wrote actually a lot. Regardless of whether the music actually instills the same feelings in me as it does with her, I like what she wrote, and I'm like, I want that feeling, and I want that to happen to me listening to this. Don't know if it will, but I want to try.
Yeah.
So anyways.
Okay, well, here's the thing. Those are our picks, but we are going to listen to all 3, and we're going to talk about all 3 next episode, and we'll just kind of let it go where it goes. How about that? This was fun. This was really interesting to hear your guys' personal experiences with these albums, and I'm just as excited to hear the Jimi Hendrix. I mean, it's kind of weird to me that there's a whole Jimi Hendrix collection out there that I haven't heard. I honestly hadn't even really heard of it. I mean, I looked at the track listing and was like, well, I know Voodoo Child, of course, but this is an outtake version, and then there's some covers and some old standards. So curious about that. And so it'll be interesting to see where this pans out. But we want to keep this going. So once we get through this, I think we'll reboot on our picks. And I think we agreed that we're going to go with our pick for most underrated album next. Yeah.
I think it's a great category for sure. Yeah.
Because I think we're going to start getting a bit more obscure. You know, my pick couldn't have been by a much bigger and more well-known band. But as we go along, I think we'll get more obscure, and that's where it gets more exciting to sort of turn people on to new shit. Anyway, so there's all of our homework, including you, the listener. Even if you've heard these albums, get refreshed in time for next episode, and we will all chat about them together. So thanks so much, everybody, for taking the time to share your thoughts. We really appreciate that, and it's fun to hear your guys' take on albums. Yeah, go ahead, Lyle.
What was the third album called?
Jimi Hendrix Blues album or the Timber Timbre album?
Third one.
The third one
Brand new,
The Devil and the God Are Raging Inside Me.
The Devil and God Are Raging, yeah. The Devil and God Are Raging.
And the Timber Timbre one that Abby wanted us to listen to is their self-titled debut. Or at least it's the self-title. I'm not sure if it's
eponymous.
Eponymous.
Timber Timbre.
Put notes down.
All right, y'all. Well, thanks for that.
Wait, Timber like timber and then Timbre.
Yep.
Yeah.
I thought you said timbre.
That's
my reality is
that's how it's pronounced.
That's how it's pronounced, apparently.
But
again, look it up online. You'll see. You'll see. The internet is just as confused. But I do believe it's timber timbre. Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's a legitimate word that describes like a sound. It's the character or quality of a musical sound or voice as distinct from its pitch and intensity. So it's just describing a sound. So timbre. So the sound. Timbre. So if you want to literally take that. I have no idea how these guys chose their name, but if you want to literally dissect the words, it's like the pitch or the sound of timber, right? Like
wood, like in the forest.
That's
exactly
the first word, the sound of wood.
Yeah.
There you go. Maybe that's
timber.
the secret.
Say this band name for me again.
Timber Timbre.
This is bullshit. I'm out.
Sorry, Abby. The people have spoken.
We tried.
Pick a band we can try saying, bro. Okay, we will talk next week. Can't wait to see what y'all think of these albums, including myself. And I'm pointing myself.
I'm off to breakfast cereal ice cream. So
report back.
Right.
Save it for next week, though. Do not text. Save it for next week.
Yeah.
We want to hear
from
your own mouth. Hashtag
Instagram
here's how
stories.
it tastes.
I'm still live tweeting. Live tweet it.
Put it on your live journal.
The kids, Twitter does, as
Put it on your TikTok.
old folks as Facebook seems Tinder. Twitter does still seem to be a happening place, huh? Not for kids, though, I guess.
Both statements were correct, I think.
Put it on your Tumblr.
Yeah, send it to my blog spot. Mm-hmm. All right. We'll see you next week, y'all.
Okay.
Bye.
Good night.
A bear.